We can start.
So she's still dancing.
She's still dancing.
So we have a quorum.
We do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum.
Yeah, only because I saw it in my driveway.
So I guess
Did she text and say? Did
I know Jack. I just was thinking of Matt and Cindy, but I don't want to hold things up too much.
Right.
So. All right, so it's 6:31, 22nd of January, so MCC regular meeting. We're going to go through, we're missing a couple members, but we're expecting them to show up at some point in time. So we'll just start. Public comment. Is anyone here for public comment? You're all here for agenda items. Agenda items, good. All right, we don't have any public hearings. We don't have any appointments. So we can get right into statutory business. So Executive Park Drive Realty, that's the first one up. If you guys want to.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. If you guys, if you could just please just sign in and get the.
I was getting.
Yeah.
I want to hand these. These are reductions of what is going to be on the board for you.
Thank you.
So you can maybe it'll be a little easier. Not that it's that complex as to what we're doing, but in any event. Greg, if you can.
Boy, that's going to be a lot of traffic.
Just make sure the red light's on. No, the light's on. No, I'm colorblind. Yeah.
They're both on now.
There you go.
Thank you.
Hey, Cindy. Sorry. Why don't you grab one? There's a set of these too. Why don't you grab? Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. The matter before the Commission is the Executive Park Drive project proposal, if you will, to construct 280 apartments on what used to be the former, I'll use the say, as I know it, the Hilton Hotel site, which has been around for a number of years. Back in 78, 79, 80, that area was rezoned to commercial to facilitate the construction of the hotel. As we all know, the hotel closed a number of years ago. We subdivided off about an acre for the Wood Spring Suites. The balance of the land, we finally raised the building, ripped it down. There were a number of proposals to try and revamp it. But in any event, this is a proposal for, in effect, reuse of that property as well as an abutting small parcel to the north. And basically that's why we have 4 and 6 Executive Park Drive. Those lots will be consolidated for the purposes of our proposal with the Planning Board. We received Zoning Board of Adjustment approval to allow the use. We also have been to the Planning Board a number of times conceptually, as well as recently a few weeks back for acceptance. The plan was accepted for public hearing, and we're moving ahead to further the project along. Since it is in the Aquifer Conservation District, we're required to visit with you folks. We appreciate the ability to visit with you, to discuss with you the project, and try and answer as best we can any questions. With me is Tom Sokolowski. He's an environmental consultant of TES Environmental Consultants LLC, who's taken a close look at the property from a variety of angles, so to speak. We've brought a couple of plans. I've shown you an overview schematic of some of the cleared land, non-cleared land, and underneath that is another plan that I have that gives you an approximate, I repeat, an approximate site plan, if you will, for the site. It's still undergoing various adjustments as per planning board request and at the request of the town's consulting engineers, CLD. So we're working with the various town agencies to try and produce what we believe to be a good plan for the site. And again, we've worked with the ZBA and now the planning board to move this forward. I would point out that the master plan of the town recognized this area for possible mixed use. I will let you know that. That was one of the things that was brought up before the ZBA. And we're taking a close look at the drainage. I will tell you that the drainage will be an improvement over the former Hilton drainage. The drainage requirements since the Hilton was constructed in 1980 have changed. We've updated those. They were updated for the Wood Spring Suites proposal, and I've spoken to our consulting engineers engineering the project, Bowler, and they've indicated that this will be meeting all of the new, I say new, the updated requirements since 1980 that have been passed by the town over the past 30 years or 30 or 40 years that we're talking about here. So we're here to review the plans, answer questions. I'm not going to keep blathering on and on and on. You've seen a number of site plans in your careers here. I don't need to bore you with that, but again, we'll do our best to address what you believe may be helpful to you in terms of some comments back to the planning board. Thank you.
When do you go in front of the planning board next?
Our next meeting is February 6th. And again, we're hoping to potentially get conditional approval that night. As I said, this was accepted by the planning board for public hearing on January 2nd, just if you want to get the date straight. We've been working diligently to obtain all of the appropriate permitting, the outside permitting necessary. We're going to have to get a state AOT permit. That's going to take a little bit longer than the 6th. I think we're all aware of that. But ordinarily, the planning board would approve it with that condition that we obtain our appropriate permit. We expect we'll get it. We don't think that's going to be an issue in this case.
So I appreciate that you're going to take steps to make the drainage better than what was there before.
That is correct, sir.
Roof drains. If I read correctly, we're not capturing all the roof water in this.
That's hard for me to answer. We've submitted a plan based upon our drainage to CLD, and I hate to say there's probably a reason for that, but I can't itemize it for you since I left my engineering degree back at my office. We're doing what we feel is the best way to handle the drainage on the site across the board. That's what I want to leave you with.
Yeah. Okay.
And I know the planning board is looking carefully at that issue.
Yeah, buildings this large, they occupy a lot of square footage. They're going to capture a lot of water when it rains.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice to be able to know that that's being directed and treated. Not that the water coming off the roof is anywhere near potentially having issues as a parking lot water would have. But
I understand.
so,
Thank you.
yeah.
Because it's in your write-up,
Thank you.
and it's that's going to be a volume, particularly once all 5 get built. That's going to be quite a volume of water going right into the Netticut Brook.
We understand that. I'm leaving that to the, how do I put it, the consulting engineers of the town and our engineers to deal with that. They're familiar with it. That I can tell you.
So the other point to note is that over the last 10 years, we've had issues with water at Horseshoe Pond, different bacterial or algae blooms and stuff like that. So fertilizer has been an issue in that area. We've been stressing not to utilize fertilizer, or certainly not to use fertilizer with a phosphate content in it, because that's what causes those things to just pop up and happen. So,
We have no problem with that recommendation going to the planning board.
so yeah, because this will go right in the brook and will be right in Horseshoe Pond in minutes, basically, in a big storm.
I understand.
Yeah.
So that's specifically mentioned on sheet 18 of 24. Up under the first column, e-fertilizer, you've got 6% phosphorus listed.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a it's in a couple places. Sheet 14 like what Gina said, sheet 18.
Okay.
It's on, because even on 18, there's two types. You're using two different methods of fertilization. They're pre-planting in the tree pits, and you're going to be using the pellets.
Yep.
So it's already in those tablets.
Okay.
So I'm not, where it's not going to be surface applied. That's going to be a slow release and leaching, which might, obviously you want these things to survive. So,
Yep.
But any topical application, certainly of a zero phosphates would be what we're looking for.
Yep.
And obviously any nitrogen compound should be a slow release. And I'll give you guys props. You tried to get rid of all the hay. So there's a couple spots you need to just do a text check for hay versus straw.
Yeah.
But it's obviously there's straw bales, and then there's hay bale kicking around. So nice job, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, especially that side. Anything that ends up in the brook will end up downstream.
So one thing I didn't see, and there's a lot to look at here, but is there sections for snow storage?
There will be.
Do we have any idea where?
Do you know where that is yet, Jim? No, I do not. We're not sure of that. Again, we've still been working through with CLD and our consultants regarding that issue, and it'll either be storage on site or removed, one or the other.
Is there any plan for salts and de-icing compounds?
Not ordinarily in a area where we've got aquifer protection, we're going to be staying away from that. And ordinarily the planning board requires and mandates that. That's been my experience in dealing with those compounds. I think you're all familiar with that.
Yeah, I would think we would want to make our normal recommendation.
Yeah.
I think that comes from you people ordinarily.
Yeah, it does.
In your letters anyway,
Yeah.
based on my recollection.
Yeah.
Because you've already made note in here about the green Snow Pro, I believe, was it?
It's in there, I think.
It's in.
Yeah.
I
it's
believe
in
so.
one of these.
Yeah. Yes.
But I believe it was in this one that you already made. So it's there. That's an application, an education and an application that they're going to be looking at that anyway. So
They will be.
So I didn't happen to look at. I got tied up about landscaping plans. Are we talking native
I
plantings?
checked against the list of invasives, and I didn't see any invasives.
Okay.
I went on and I printed out the invasives, so.
Yeah.
there's one that's on the watch list. It's not on the invasive list. It's on the watch list.
Which one is that?
The Japanese Spira.
Spirea.
How do you say it?
Spirea.
Spirea.
Yeah, you might as well get rid of it.
It's just. It's not. It's on their the EDDS watch EDM maps watch list. So.
Yeah, I would imagine the list changes every year. The list that I have is from January 2017.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It changes. It literally changes daily because that's the EDD maps website. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So they have a watch list, and people just report what they've seen. So that had a uptick.
And
at
that
some
can
point in
vary
time.
by region across the country as well.
Exactly.
It may be a problem in one region, but not in
Not
another.
yeah, right. We just don't want to be responsible for the next invasive.
Right. Good grief. It's not easy to get rid of it once it's established.
You can go see the burning bush that's taking over the world in Wasserman.
Yeah.
Bush that's
It is
eating
pretty.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is
we do.
pretty.
We have.
What is it?
We have acres of burning bush.
Really? Well, it's
yeah.
not kudzu, at least. Down in the south.
So right on one of the initial plans here on page 3, you've got a existing tree line that we're cutting back. The existing tree line, is that?
I don't think It's shown on this.
Go ahead and flip it, Tom.
See the tree line on this drawing? It must be.
Yeah,
on
I'm looking, have you got the, I'm looking at, I'm just looking on page 3.
3 of 24, yeah.
Is, you've got a delineation line here, of existing tree line that's, to be removed. So is that, are we gonna be cutting back to that, limits of work?
That would look like it is, because that is not an existing tree line. That would be a proposed tree line, because this is currently wooded behind here.
Well, it's gotta be pretty close to that.
It's labeled. Oh.
Yeah, it's labeled existing tree line.
Oh, okay, okay. The brook is out here.
Right,
Ah,
yes.
yes,
Yeah,
okay.
this is limits of work.
That's correct. Yep. Okay. That is the existing tree line. Then that will be roughly this.
So it's just gonna be trimmed back?
Yes, because that's along there, and that dip here, I believe, corresponds with that dip there.
Yeah, most of that rear area is being left. A lot of it's being left.
Yep.
There's a lot of data here, but it's nice to see all the different structures.
Yep.
As opposed to, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I like the idea of your collection systems and all that. So
You made a note that, you made a comment that you're not really sure, there might be some changes. Do we have some kind of idea
well,
of what?
we've got some proposed parking that we may build or not build, depending on what the planning board would like to do. We've got we've got a walk bridge. They want a connectivity between the two parcels, and you can see it on the plan I gave. You can kind of see it. There's a walking trail that comes up to an existing bridge that the Hilton had to cross that kind of a wet area, and
Yep.
we pick it up again. And it hasn't been specifically decided by the planning board exactly how that connectivity is going to play out. So I'd be less than candid if I started to tell you that this is cast in stone. It's not, but I can tell you that it's closely cast in stone. That's what I need to say. But I don't want to mislead the board in that regard.
So this potentially proposed footpath?
Yep.
The existing, this is where the steps?
Yes,
are shown?
yes.
That's
Yeah,
what's
the
gonna be
steps that go up.
potentially-
There's a bridge and there's steps.
Okay.
Correct. And our plan is to rehab the existing bridge and continue with that to create a walking connectivity between the parcels out of the parking lot areas and so forth. We think it's a nice amenity, and we think it will work well and safely for the project. Because again, we're going to integrate these lots. They're going to be merged for the purposes of our approvals.
So when we encountered something like this recently at the Flatley property, we had suggested that where the footpath and bridge ends up in a wet area, to use some sort of a railing or system to keep people from stomping into the wet areas themselves. I don't know what kind of distance you're talking about. In that situation, we were talking about 50 feet, so it wasn't a tremendous thing here.
I don't think that bridge is 50 feet.
No, it'd be more on the order of 20 feet in length.
It's
and,
not. It's
probably
not.
less than that.
Yeah. We just wanted to discourage. Some people will use that to walk animals potentially, and didn't want the animals to run off into the wet area to do their duty and then jump back out again. You know what I mean? So.
It's actually a pretty interesting little spot. It's a perennial stream, but I think that from my experience there, I've never seen water in it.
Mm-hmm.
And from the owner's perspective, they've seen water in it only in the earlier spring.
Mm-hmm.
I was there in October this year after we'd had quite a bit of rain to make up for a moderately dry summer, but also a wet spring. And there was no water at all in the stream channel there. There is water in the channel that comes out of the northern part of the site, but that has a pretty substantial watershed as well. This one here, Netticook Brook, had no water in it, and I was surprised to see a named stream without any surface flow. But it's a very sandy area. I expect that it infiltrates readily when there isn't a major storm flow or a spring runoff event. And that by way of saying, as far as somebody going into an area, they're not going to likely get caught up to their knees in muck.
Yeah.
It's a firm sandy bottom, too.
You mentioned north of it, there's quite a bit of beaver activity north up behind the cinema.
Behind the theater, yes.
Yeah, that's very wet up there, and this is an area that was also habitat-wise ranked fairly low because of the soils, because they drain so much. There's just not a lot of water back there to dam up, so that's why we don't typically are not having a beaver issue back behind here, but we are just north.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can see also there's a difference in the soils. That was one of my tasks, is to develop a site-specific soil map for the alteration of terrain permit application. And in that area, in the northern part of the site and heading further to the north and east, bedrock is closer to the ground surface in those areas. And that's coming off of higher ground that typically has some perched water tables, either perched by bedrock or till. Also has a fairly good watershed. But that's coming down onto this sandy outwash plain that's right here on the site. So there's a lot of infiltration that's happening as it comes onto this property, and basically doesn't often have surface expressions of water except during higher flow periods, or where it is coming right off of that shallower bedrock.
Where are you proposing AOT? Where do you think is going to be an issue?
There's no issue. It is basically a requirement for any alteration of more than 100,000 square feet of land surface that an alteration of terrain permit be sought. That requires the site-specific soil map that I prepared. The alteration of terrain applications put together by the consulting engineers, Bowler, and I've consulted with them on what I found out there for soils. They've done some test pits and some borings and found basically that the soils are pretty much as I had expected, deep sandy soils with a little bit of bedrock within 40 inches of the surface out in the northwestern corner of the site.
So there shouldn't be a lot of, we're not going to be moving terrain much at all, then it's going to be staying pretty much the way it is?
I'm not sure about the final grading here. I haven't seen the final grading plans, but I would expect that they need to bring the grades down in some places and build them up in others to make it level, because there is a fair amount of slope going up back into here.
Right.
So there'll be some cut and some fill.
Okay.
Could you tell me what type of bridge is going to be over the flow area on the northernmost property?
There's no bridge so much. You're talking about for the driveway.
Yeah.
There's basically going to be a large culvert that hasn't been finally designed at this point, although in talking with the Bowler engineer, his original concept for this was to be a large elliptical concrete arch with an open bottom with no alteration of the stream bed, so there's no attempt to replicate materials within the culvert or to have a need for any kind of stone aprons to slow velocities throughout this section of the channel. So it would essentially be undisturbed in terms of the channel itself with an overarching culvert structure.
Okay. Yeah, so as far as the walking bridge, where the culvert is, you have guardrail before and after proposed. That's kind of what we were talking about with like some sort of bridging or
some railing, I would think, would
Some
maybe be appropriate. Some sort of a decorative rail, perhaps. I'm not sure that that's been thought through to the extent that.
I think you need it for code. I think, to fix the bridge, you have to have railings to meet code, safety codes.
I would
You got to
think
have that.
that
So
would make sense.
I think it's dependent
there'll
on
be
the height.
some type of a guardrail that we put along that approximate 20-foot span. Yes.
Yeah, it's not necessarily just the span, though, it's the entrance and exit, too.
Yes,
so-
I could see what you're saying is
I-
having some sort of
Containment.
rail that kind of arches away from the
Right.
bridge itself to both sides to,
I put that in my notes.
Yeah.
I understand what you're looking for to
Yeah.
stop an immediate, I follow the ball on that.
Thanks.
So the only other question I have is that, and you brought it out in the drawing that you provided us, the proposed future expansion of parking for the two buildings that are off to their own. Is that being proposed to meet parking space requirements?
Yes, we don't think we need it.
Okay.
And for years, we've had this debate, and in fact, you may remember that parking used to be under the zoning ordinance.
Mhm.
And I begged and pleaded Nelson Disco for a number of years to move it. And the reason I said move it is because we're paving the town where we'd prefer landscaping, grass, something more natural. So it came to the point where I would propose on plans expanded parking to meet the zoning regulation. And the planning board let it go, and finally they said, I think we need to bring that back into the site regulations, get it out of zoning to allow a bit more flexibility in dealing with this issue so that we're not paving towns. I mean, you take a McDonald's, just as an example, you know, the calculations for a drive-through as well as a sit-down as well as a takeout, if you add it up and put the square footage to it, you need this phenomenal number of spaces that no McDonald's on the planet ordinarily has. And you know, after showing the board many different McDonald's in the same type of a population area, they agreed, bless them, that yeah, we don't need this. We don't need to be paving the town over for some of this stuff. So that's what's driven this over the years.
Yeah.
In this instance, because of the parking regulation and some deficiency, this would meet what we had originally proposed would meet certain standards in a number of cities and towns. But Merrimack's is a little different. They all are. We're showing this as proposed future parking if it's needed, and I think that's the way it'll end up. But that's up to the board.
Yeah, agreed. I was where I was going with it is I was thinking we might want to make a recommendation to the planning board that says to limit that expanded parking if at all possible.
And
For many good reasons.
yeah, I mean, we're trying to do it, but we're also being careful. We don't want people in the streets parking.
Right. Well, that's right.
We don't want them parking
Yeah.
in the theater.
Yeah.
We've got a parking field just to the north of this. It's separated, but there's a parking field north.
Yeah.
And we're trying to be good neighbors in terms of our overall development as we are required to be. So that's the genesis of this.
Yeah. Understood.
Are these condos or apartments, just out of curiosity?
Apartments.
Apartments, okay.
Apartments.
Is there going to be some parking underneath the buildings?
Yes.
Is that how I
Yes,
read that?
yes.
correct? Okay.
Yeah, there's parking under the buildings. Some of our parking
140
is
something.
underneath, yes.
All right. Gina, any other comments?
Anything else?
Comments? No? Anybody? We good?
Good.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much
it.
for having us. We
We'll,
appreciate it.
We got a letter to the planning board going over these items that we discussed tonight.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Moving on. Charles Morgan, 526 DW Highway.
So, Mr. Chairman, a quick comment.
Please.
So I utilize vault storage. If anyone has a concern with me being here, just let me know. Okay. Figured I'd just be.
There are a
I'd be
lot of
upfront.
people that are utilizing
right,
the storage, but we'll just leave it at that.
Just figured I would be open about it. That's all.
That really is somewhat distant in this particular
Right.
request. We'll leave it at that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Is this what we have already in our package?
Essentially, I believe it is, sir.
Is this different than the one that was submitted with the package? Or is this just, are these copies? Same that was originally submitted?
It's the same. That's the same. It's the same.
All right. Does anyone need a copy?
Do you want these back then?
Let's have one.
If you have,
I want one back. Thanks. I've got one back on the, but thank
used to
you.
be.
The auctions.
Much better. All right. Just going to give us a brief overview of the project. We could.
Thank you. This is 326 DW LLC. Charlie Morgan, the vault storage. I know you all are familiar with the site. It's formerly the Xyla portion of the Xyla property. They had the other parcel next door that's been sold to the school bus folks. But this is the Xyla site. The area that we're talking about right out of the gate has been paved for many, many, many years. I think we all know that. If you've been around town for a while, you would certainly know that. And what we're proposing is that the Porsche Audi dealership in Nashua is looking for a site to store up to 76 new cars in the winter. So we're looking at a October, November through April time frame for this. It's seasonal, which means the farmers market will still be able to be held there. If you could, no, I'm letting you know that. That's a somewhat popular event, and it's still Mr. Morgan's intention to allow that to continue. He's been gracious in that respect. He's done a lot to improve this property. I don't think that anyone would deny that. But in any event, this would be outside storage of vehicles on a historically paved area. That area has been used for parking, again, on a transient basis for, again, years and years and years and years and years. To my knowledge, there's never been any significant issues, but this would be permanent parking of newer vehicles. Of course, the thing that would arise, I suppose, is, spillage, leaks, and whatever. In this instance, again, they're going to be parked by professionals, dropped off by professionals, stored there. Our intention to protect our own property. Remember, Mr. Morgan is the biggest beneficiary of proper stewardship. He owns the property. Is to have biweekly inspections of this area, spill kits nearby, just in case there's a problem. I would point out that the likelihood of there being a significant issue with new vehicles is small. I'm not suggesting it can't happen, but you think of the car lots you've seen with literally hundreds of vehicles in car lots, used car lots, new car lots. They're all over. I don't need to tell the board that. So when we bring this forward, I think it's important to remember that parking has been there for a long time, and it's a common practice and custom in many areas. That's no secret. So that's basically it. We're not changing the site. We're not modifying the site. We're allowing an area that we don't need we just talked about it, to satisfy our parking requirements. We don't need that area for that purpose. And our belief is that would be a reasonable use of his land, and that's what's going before the planning board. Because it's an aquifer conservation and wellhead district, which it is, it must come before you folks, and you've seen this property before for his expansion and the utilization that it's now being put to. So that's pretty much it. And Bernie Temple from Eric Mitchell is sitting to my right. He's helped engineer or take the plan and take a look at this, and we don't see any significant issues, but again, we've got to be here before the board to get your kind remarks. Thank you.
Very straightforward.
Yeah, I found this to be very straightforward. I just want to recognize that I appreciate you guys going through and kind of hitting our hot buttons there on some notes. No, I think it's good. I mean, that's, that, you know, it's boring for us to say the same things over and over again, and people recognize those parts of the plan, and they're
Yeah,
addressing it here in the notes, and I appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously, this is close to wells 4 and 5, so,
That's correct.
yeah, and we have seen this before and obviously, when you did the work on the site initially, so.
You have seen it before.
And so I don't have, I mean, again, this is existing pavement. And the spill kit, obviously, these are new cars. Long-term, is this going to be storage for, who knows? Yeah.
Our proposal to the planning board is a seasonal,
Right.
annual storage outside. That's what it is. If we want to change it, we've got to come back and
Okay.
have another discussion with everybody.
All right.
Mr. Morgan's aware of that.
Do you want low phosphorus or no phosphorus?
I believe this was I believe we were asking for no phosphorus.
This one says low.
Yeah, is there something on the plan? I can't remember what's on the plan. I apologize.
There are notes on the second page.
Yeah, only low phosphate solid nitrogen fertilizer to be used as part of this project. Yeah.
I was going to say, you're not planning on doing any real landscaping.
Yeah, there was no landscaping.
There's no landscaping.
But
The front cover, that's the front cover of the original design plan.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
I think we probably went down that road. I mean, obviously you can see the wellhead protection runs right through the center of this property. It's out to the edge of that, and there's not a lot of flow. I mean, there's not a lot of height change from here.
There isn't.
So before it gets to the street sewer, sanitary sewers, the stormwater sewer, so I'm okay with that note. Unless you'd like it changed, Gina.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Just deferring to you.
Matt, you said something? Oh, okay. So I don't have any comments, any questions? No? All right. All right, Ken. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time again. Appreciate it.
Scheiße. All right. Okay, Merrimack Parcel A LLC. These-
Quite a few apartments coming in. A few apartments coming in from here and from up. I said apartments.
Yeah, oh, I know. This is, well, you can, but it's your own personal thoughts, yeah. Is that, can I tip over?
It is, yeah.
What's wrong with that?
The leg needs to be twisted out a little bit more.
I don't know, I'll just
It's missing a foot. Yeah.
stick my foot under it.
Someone got an old textbook? That's all I used them for, is keep my desk level.
We got enough paperwork here, we can just,
We used to use matchbooks when we were kids, but they don't even exist anymore, I don't think.
All right.
Good evening, I'm Mark Verostic, I'm a project engineer with VHB in Bedford. Here tonight with Tom Monahan. the applicant with Merrimack Parcel A LLC. Here tonight for Merrimack Park Place, which is at 10 Premium Outlets Boulevard. It's a proposed mixed-use development. If you recall, we were here back in October this past year for some wetland impacts associated with the roundabout in this area. And we're currently in front of the planning board. We had our first meeting with them last Tuesday, and we'll be before them again on February 20th.
Thank you.
And so this is the first phase of the project. It originally received a conditional use permit with the planning board last January, and the next step in the process is site plan application. So that's what's before the planning board currently. The project is in the Aquifer Conservation District. So we're here tonight, give you a brief presentation, answer any questions we can for the project. It's the existing site. It's approximately a 20-acre site. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. It's at the intersection of Industrial Drive and Premium Outlets Boulevard. It was an out parcel that was created when they developed the Premium Outlets project. Currently it's a vacant site, largely cleared and rough graded, in eventual anticipation of development, a commercial development on this site. The only thing that currently exists on site is there's an existing emergency access road that's gated at Camp Sargent Road, and there's a stormwater basin that was designed and constructed as part of the Premium Outlets project to receive stormwater from both Premium Outlets Boulevard and some future development.
So
the current
that basin exists?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it exists in that.
No.
I wasn't sure if it was quite that big.
It's not that big. We're proposing to expand it as part of the project. So the proposed development includes 6 commercial developments. It's mixed use. It's intended to have residential, retail, restaurant, office, hotel, and a convention center area. These 3 buildings in the northern part will have are intended to have residential uses on the upper floors, ground floor restaurant, retail. Similarly, in these buildings, this will be an office building with ground floor retail and restaurant, and this is a proposed hotel with a conference center. The idea is that this main boulevard is intended to be more of an urban streetscape with ground level pedestrian friendly uses in that area, and then the upper floors will have office and residential uses. And then surrounding the site we'll have parking areas around the perimeter. It'll have on-street parking, parallel parking down that main boulevard. All of the stormwater from the site will be collected in catch basins and pipes and directed to a surface filtration basin. It was originally designed and constructed per DES rules for a surface filtration basin, and we'll be expanding it. The existing outline, it's roughly in this area, so it's maybe a 25% or 30% increase in the footprint area to handle. What it was designed for originally was a concept, just our best guess at the time, and with the current proposal, we're proposing to expand that. The basin will have it's a 24-inch layer of filter media and underlain by an underdrain, which currently exists. That underdrain conveys stormwater over to the existing pond on the other side of Premium Outlets Boulevard, which has an outlet control structure which regulates flow. And then that outlet from that flow comes across Industrial Boulevard to the existing wetlands on Fidelity's property. That's pretty much the project in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions the commission has.
So that subsurface infiltration, where's that in the line?
Subsurface infiltration. This
Yep.
is shown as subsurface infiltration. We're actually not proposing that anymore. We've gone back and looked at the flows going to Fidelity, and when we did the stormwater analysis, there was in the 2-year storm there was like a half a CFS increase going to that. So we went back to look at a way to modify our pond to take care of that flow. So what we've done is we're proposing to modify the outlet control structure here by changing some of the orifices in this outlet control structure. It won't require any ground disturbance or anything like that. That existing storage in this detention pond allows us to mitigate that half a CFS increase, and we can eliminate the infiltration, the subsurface infiltration system here.
Is there also a structure above the newly proposed road all to the north of the
Structure, I'll switch to this plan, it might show a little bit, shows a little bit more of an overall. So from there is I know parcel up here, there's a development up here.
Yeah, no, north of the pedestrian.
Right here?
Yes.
Yes, there's gravel wetland that was constructed here during the permitting of the Premium Outlets project, which this only receives runoff from Spruce Street.
Okay.
So I wasn't involved in the permitting at the time, but it was a way to mitigate water quality that was basically running onto the site from off-site.
So there's no connectivity under that proposed road, or under the existing road?
Yes, there's the outlet from this connects over to this
Yes,
basin
okay.
today, right? But none of the runoff from this site will go into that basin, into that gravel well.
It's shown on C5. The system here.
You're looking for the piped connection from that gravel wetland?
Yeah, no, I found it. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So this is a phased development. Which buildings are proposed to be done currently, and which are later?
One of the things that we're working through with the planning board, I mean, essentially all of this is phase 1.
Okay.
There could be a future phase 2 with a building and a parking structure that would happen down here, but that's, we would have to come back to the planning board for a separate site plan approval for that if and when it comes to be.
Did you say a building and a parking structure, or
Yes.
a parking structure?
Potential office building and
And
parking
parking
structure.
structure, okay.
Right, to make up, because
Right, you're going to take
obviously
away.
we'd lose parking and create demand, so. One of the things the planning staff pointed out was the need to identify phasing specifically for this development. I think what may happen at the beginning is these 3 buildings may happen first, but the intent is that it all gets built, just over time sequentially.
Mm-hmm.
But the planning staff did recommend, to create a phase 4, phasing plan for this as well. So we have to put that together.
Yeah, my question was more about if there was going to be, like you brought up the extra structure,
Mhm.
if it was going to be done in phase, does that mean this could change? Are you expecting what you're showing here to be your intent for the,
Yes,
at least for the near term then, right?
correct.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So I have a quick question for you. These filtration socks,
Yes.
so they're going to be filled on site?
Well, I've seen it done both ways. A lot of times they are done on site. They hook a truck up to them and they blow the compost mulch.
All right, that's what, I guess that's what I'm saying. So
Right.
we're going to get not local composted material, we're going to get real Class A composted material
Yeah, I mean,
inside the sock. Well, I just want to make sure, because we're putting this stuff that's, there's a lot of wetlands. I want really good composted material, nothing live, no seeds left, no nothing.
right.
You know, so you want something that's going to be not, because I would imagine they're degrading socks, so they're just going to be slit and left when you're done.
Right.
So
Right.
all that compost material is going to be left on site.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm saying there's a standard to that. The biosolids, the Class A biosolids, they have to be dead, composted.
Correct.
Okay.
What's noxious weed seed?
Really bad.
Doesn't sound good.
Where are you seeing that?
Page C11,
11. Yeah.
under the erosion control.
control
Go
notes.
way down under temporary seeding. It says noxious weed seed, 0.5% maximum. Is that just stuff that just happens to
I
be
mean,
randomly
that's-
in there?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a standard percentage that I think any,
Yeah, it's
like
like you
legal
can't be pure,
yeah.
right?
Don't go there. And the other thing, since we're on that page, you've got hay mulch, that should be straw mulch.
Right, that needs, yeah. That's still in my notes from when we were
Okay.
before you before.
That magnifying glass works really well, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
So I didn't find that.
When you're a captive audience in the car for 4 hours, then along with your notes and your magnifying glass, you find a lot of things.
So talk about your tree plantings and things like that. We look, because I didn't have time to look at it, that part of the plan, so.
So I am not the landscape architect, but the plantings proposed, I mean, it's a mixture of deciduous and shade trees. I don't have the species in front of me, and then there will be evergreens planted, along the northern boundary, intended to help create existing additional screening to the residential neighbors to the north.
Did anyone here get a chance to look at the species that are involved?
I'm looking at them right now.
Okay.
I don't see anything that
That
was
jumps
on
at
my
you?
list.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, in general, our goal as a commission is to encourage native species as much as possible, not to introduce something new that could later become
Invasive.
invasive.
Right.
Right, so that's all.
Sure.
They do mention earlier in here, I did see that they were being careful with invasives.
Yeah.
So,
So. It also becomes less of a maintenance issue if you use a species that's used to growing around here.
Right.
So,
Right.
it's kind of a double bonus, you might say.
Right. Gordon Leedy is, he's the landscape architect for the project, and he was involved with the Premium Outlets project originally, so I think he's keenly aware of, making sure we stay consistent with what was done originally.
Mhm.
Ornamental trees. See that name though when you go.
Right. Yeah, nothing exotic.
Sometimes better just to take a vacation and visit those plants where they really grow.
Right.
That's right.
Let me put that as a recommendation.
There you
Yeah,
go.
right.
Yeah, so obviously within our recommendation, we're gonna make that same fertilizer recommendation.
Sure.
Due to your proximity, if those wetlands would wanna go for a no phosphate
No phosphate,
and slow release
slow
nitrogen.
release nitrogen. Yeah.
Yeah, proximity to well 3 is
Yeah.
a big deal too, so.
How close are they to the rookery?
Rook,
Isn't there a heron rookery across the street near Fidelity?
I thought that was down behind the buildings. I didn't think that
Was it?
was,
Okay.
you would know better.
There are a couple of nests in that. There are a couple of nests in that pond that the outflow
Right across, I
gets
thought.
to. Yes,
Yeah, I thought it was right across.
a couple of nests. Did I say ponds? I meant nests in that
You
pond.
said nests.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a better overview, so you're seeing in the wetlands across. Yeah.
Can you speak to snow storage?
Sure. Snow storage should be shown
Yeah, it's on.
on 3C3. The general intent is to, utilize areas on site, for
Yep.
snow storage around the perimeter of the parking area, and obviously it needs to be maintained for a certain number of parking spaces. So anything in excess of what they can manage on site would be trucked
Okay.
off site.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that there's the little dotted areas.
Correct.
Yeah, I guess that it just looks like there's a lot of pavement, considering the size of those snow areas. If they're not, the last couple storms we had, that mix seems a little
So
little
what
lopsided towards the paving.
are the dotted areas just like grass areas?
Those, yes, yeah, lawn areas where snow could be stored. I mean, it's, obviously, we don't want to store snow, in this detention basin or anything
Right.
like that. So we're looking for upland areas that are away from the stormwater.
Quite a bit of it.
Yeah, yeah, I guess there is.
Yeah, when you look
Seeing these little
close.
tiny little spots, but I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, some of them are, it's hard to put yourself in the
Yep.
mindset of a guy with a plow, but trying to make them in places that are most convenient for plowing.
Yeah, you don't want to be moving it halfway across the property.
Right.
Unless you're getting paid overtime.
Yeah, that's, so the owner doesn't want to move it across the property. The plow guy might like to do that, it's just to.
Hey, this is going to sound, I should have asked this question with the other thing. This is going to sound like a dumb question, but, I mean, you're going to have a lot of residential areas, and a lot of these people are going to have dogs. Where are they going to walk their dogs? Where is that?
Well, the residential,
Worried about that?
I mean, we can worry about it, but it's not,
Okay.
there's really nothing we
can.
can do about it.
All right.
I mean, obviously, if there's excessive waste on the property, they're gonna be dealing with the complaints themselves.
All
So
right. As long as it's not going into anything that we don't need it going into. We actually did kind of bring it up before, so. All right, never mind.
So similar, obviously, to the parcel, the premium outlets themselves, the Green Snow Pro certification, the limited use of salts.
right.
And
Yep.
early in when the proximity to well 3, this is well
3, yes.
I don't know if we can specify no salt, but well, I suppose we did before. We're going to talk to you about that. So we specified no salt before. There's a lot of water treatment here, though.
And we'll be coordinating with MVD as well and
Right.
conforming to, the regulations in terms of salt.
De-icing compounds.
Right.
And we don't have hard elevations here, so
It's,
this-
it's pretty.
which
Wow.
which lends itself very well to a sand only.
Yeah.
Or
Would the, I couldn't tell by the drawing, but would the current gated temporary, would that
Emergency.
become a throughway?
No, that'll remain a gated emergency. In fact, we met with the fire department, and they're very interested in keeping that a dedicated emergency access road. In fact, there is a driveway connection here, but that will also be gated. Really, that's for their use to make, if they need to gain quick access to the residential area. But this driveway it won't be gated on this end, but it will be signed, possibly striped, and really just intended for emergency vehicles only. They want to be able to maintain dedicated access up to the premium outlets. So we met with them a couple months ago, and so that this is the result of that meeting. It will remain gated.
back to your comment though, Gage, I think it would be appropriate to allow the use of de-icing compounds on walkways,
Yep.
where people are entering and leaving the building.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
but the general broad usage of it,
Right.
it's going to happen anyway. So,
Right.
because especially buildings of that size, that's going to shield the sun.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah, there's
areas
going to be a
where-
lot of.
It's going to be areas where the solar activity is not going to allow that melting. So,
It'd be neat if sometime in the future we, as a Conservation Commission, I don't know if it would fall under our thing, but light pollution.
Well,
I would love to.
well, these are. Did you look at the light? These are all downward facing.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah, so it's
LEDs looking
it is
down.
it is yeah I do look at that because that's a real issue. Yep. So
So none of these have underground parking.
The three residential buildings
Mm-hmm.
will have ground level parking underneath the residential.
Ground level.
so the buildings are elevated.
Okay,
So
so that
the
doesn't.
residential uses are starting on the second floor going up. So you would drive in, for example, in this building, you'd drive in here and there would be, it's not underground, but it's below the structure. So it's at ground, you drive in, there are parking spaces here.
So
that are covered.
each building, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay.
But each building is, so people will be living essentially on the sixth floor.
The second through the fifth floor, correct.
So the second through the fifth, so there won't be a sixth, so it's second through fifth. Okay.
Right.
I'm just thinking, I mean, and it has nothing to do with anything here, it's just my curiosity. Do we even have buildings in Merrimack? I mean, are our fire departments equipped to handle 5 stories? Do we have 5-story buildings in Merrimack?
so somewhat we have, I believe we have fire apparatus that will do St. Cobain, which is at least 4 stories high. Budweiser has some pretty good height to it as well.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah, I know. I mean, again, we met with the fire department, and the height of it, didn't. I mean, they have a ladder truck. It didn't come up as a specific concern from them.
yeah. So,
The new truck will be reflected in your taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I will gladly pay because I'm the daughter of a fireman, so don't get me going.
No, I don't have any more questions.
I don't either.
Anyone, Cindy? You good? All right. And you said you're going to planning board on the 20th, so
20th.
we'll get a letter off to them regarding the items that we've talked about. So thank you very much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, that's what I was going. So these are apartments too, not condos.
There are apartments here.
So these are apartments, not condos.
I'm assuming these are, I don't know.
But these apartments are condos.
Apartments.
They're
Yeah.
apartments. So they're all apartments.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm curious where all the waters for them is going to come from. We can't even water our, we're on restricted watering for grass, but.
You don't need to water pavement.
No, but they need to drink water and they need to take showers and they need to,
So the MVD has to approve these uses. So, and the other thing is our restricted water usage is more just for general conservation of water. It's not necessarily because we can't supply enough water. I think people often confuse the two.
Does Pennachuck go that far north? Water? No.
What's that?
I was just asking Pennachuck Water, how far north they went that far?
I believe the outlet malls are provided by Merrimack Village District.
Yeah.
So,
They are.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Back when they developed that, there was an agreement that was put in place for water usage for the entire project, including the south parcel, so.
Yeah.
We'll have to fall within that allocated water usage that was,
yeah, you don't use that much water up at that.
no,
That's that.
it's not much at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tinker's kind of that
Just a
line.
yeah.
yeah, and then it goes just beyond Budweiser going north. So Budweiser's on Pennachuck Water, and then
BAEs.
BAE and those businesses towards the Natural Line are all on Pennachuck Water.
Is that well by your house? Is that definitely going in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, folks. Renee Huff, manager of the Home Depot right here in town. So thank you for having me. I just took this position less than a year ago, and I'm glad to be in my hometown. We do have some challenges up there on the hill with the restrictions on the use of no salt. And from living here, I know that there is a green product that we're using, and I wanted to see if we could possibly get our plans amended to be able to use that. That's my first priority. I understand the environmental concern, and I definitely, living here, am concerned about my water as well. But right now, being the store manager over there, I have a safety concern. Just last week, we had 4 associates and 1 customer injured on the day that it snowed because we were just using sand. And once the snow covers the ice, we have a huge problem. And I have an associate who suffered a massive concussion last week. I've had probably 6 this year, less than the time frame that I've been there. So if there's something that can be done, that would certainly be my agenda here. I also wanted to talk about the pressure-treated lumber. We have right now a 24-hour rotation. Once it gets delivered, we have to pull it inside, which it's not, we don't want to store it out in the back. Bringing it in the 24 hours is no issue at all. What we would like to do, though, is in the springtime, there is selling space on the front of the store, and to be able to put the fencing, the pressure-treated fencing outside along with the other fencing so that customers can have a better flow of shopping it's more for the customer than it is. We can bring it in off the back, that's not a problem, but it's more to be able to put it out in the front. And the reason I'm asking is because our plans were written, I believe, in 2001, and a lot of things have changed over the years. I have the information on our what we purchase for pressure-treated lumber. I don't know if you guys need that or.
Do you purchase any CCA lumber at all anymore?
What we purchase is, it says that the pressure-treated lumber that every Home Depot store east of the Rockies uses MCA, which is the micronized copper azole, and they only purchase ones that are, let's see, MCA and pressure-treated wood gained environmentally, it has all the stuff,
Right.
and then they gave me all the
So-
links and the certifications and everything, but,
The end of 2003, the copper chromium.
right, the copper bath, yeah.
Acetate, no.
Yeah. Azole. It's in a
No, it's arsenic.
arsenic. Yeah, they did away with that.
Chromium arsenate
Yeah,
was
we don't-
was outlawed in residential buildings. So
Yes.
you couldn't use it anymore at the end of 2003. So starting in 2004, there had to be
Right.
some other options, and that's why you're seeing now what you can buy different grades of pressure treated lumber. It's ground contact, non-ground contact.
Right, and the ones in New Hampshire are all, everything in this area is also treated to ground contact retention levels too. So it's in
Right.
addition to the regular protections. And then we
Yes,
have all
but
kinds
the
of-
problem was the formaldehyde and the
Right.
Arsenic.
Arsenic, yeah.
So, and these, again, that was happened in 2003. You go look back through these notes. These are all 1998. These are prior to that. So,
Right,
anything, no arsenic, no formaldehyde.
No.
I think this has, has been kind of dealt with already.
right.
We have it in the conservation
We do.
properties as bridges.
Right.
Right, I would say when
In
they
there
did
is
Twin
bridges.
Bridges.
Well,
they
yeah, but,
changed it, and I moved here in
2000 and-
'93,
and-
so.
In 1998, we were using pressure treated lumber to bridges too.
Right.
Right.
So,
So
and it was amazing. You take that sawdust and you put it in a little jar with something and put an animal in it, it's dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was awful stuff.
Oh,
You
yeah.
you worked with it, and you'd have you were lifting it, you'd have rashes in your arms. It was awful stuff. But
that is not the case any longer.
it's not the case
right?
anymore. Yeah,
So we don't promote that.
right. Those things. I think
We're an environmentally aware and conscious company. We don't look to bring in anything that's going to hurt people or the environment or our associates or, anything like that.
so.
So I think where you're getting to is I really have no issue with that.
I am
With
shocked that
taking
nobody has
restriction.
been here before me. But
Yeah.
it could be, I live here, and it's,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but there's been
Well,
4 managers there.
I'm glad you asked the question because it probably we've always done it that way. So
Yeah, that's not good
and that's where
enough.
it
I have
went.
people hurting themselves every time.
well, I meant the
But yes, the
Yeah.
environmental piece,
So-
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
kind of low hanging fruit. I think we can knock that one off because
Sweet.
I don't have any issue. We can
Right, and I got
change
to
the
learn a
plan
bunch
to-
about the town while I was sitting here, so. About all these great projects
If you
coming
need an
up.
apartment, it's fine.
I don't, but thank you.
Fine.
So, all right, so,
Get some calls to get some lumber contracts.
there you go. Yeah, now I know who to go. This is a great way to come in, yeah. Could send my
You're
pro-desk
welcome, Mary.
associates over here.
We're here a couple. We're here
You're
a couple
right,
Mondays a
I
month.
like you.
So.
Do we need to vote on it?
I would think we do because this is into a plan. This is an approved plan, so we're going to have to. You're going to be going in front of the planning
Planning,
board.
yeah,
Okay.
and-
when are you doing that?
I actually don't have an appointment, and you'll probably, I don't know who gets your mail, but I sent a letter to get on your, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's after the fact. I got the email for this date, the day I sent that, I said, wow, they're on top of it. I said, holy moly.
That's a fast mailman.
Wow, that's impressive. But actually, Robert Price had sent over some information beforehand after talking to him. So he said to get your blessing, and then I could go and speak with the planning.
So, all right, so I move that we can relieve Home Depot from the pressure-treated restriction that was in their current
Thank you.
plans.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. So, I'd like to make a comment. I think we could relieve them easier saying the non-CCA based pressure treated lumber, because I don't want to completely dissolve the note. We don't know. We don't know what the,
You
we don't know what the product's doing. So
Right.
I think there should be some note there that conscious of it, but relieve them. Any non-CCA based lumber can be stored outside
Okay.
because it's still available.
Yeah.
Industrial purposes.
Right,
they're
and
still
you never
allowing
know.
it
We
for
don't
the-
buy it, but you
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen in the
Right.
future, so that's fine.
So okay.
Okay. That's a good
So-
friendly amendment.
Yeah. So okay.
So are we going to rewrite number 24? Is that the plan?
I'm assuming that's what we're going to be asked to do, because this is signed off by Nelson Disco and by Home Depot. So I'm assuming that they're going to have to rewrite this plan, or reissue this plan.
So how about the motion? I think my mic is...
No, they're all doing it. That's all right. Just keep talking. Chris will fix it.
I think the motion could be that the new line 24 shall read.
Okay.
No CCA-based pressure-treated lumber shall be used, stored outside the Home Depot store.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So right now, just so everyone has it, it says no pressure-treated lumber shall be stored outside the Home Depot store. 2 signs stating same shall be posted in the lumber pad area. See site layout plan. Drawing as before for sign locations.
And I can have that sign amended.
We
to
can
say
have that sign, the no,
that's not a problem, yeah.
so right at the very beginning, no pressure-treated lumber. No CCA-based pressure-treated lumber will be stored outside. I'm just gonna add that
Yeah.
to it.
And then in the last line, indicated not to store CCA.
Yep,
Base
Ab-
pressure
absolutely.
treated.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'd be in two places.
Two places.
It'll be added in 2 places.
Thank you.
Are these still happening? These things still happening? Do you still have people still signing off in this?
When they, yes, what happens is when they get hired in, they have a thing
Okay.
for our store. But it really, it's not so much it says the associate, it's really just the managers.
Right.
Because ultimately,
Okay.
we're responsible for the building, yeah.
And I'm going to just assume that you've got a copy of this plan, right?
I do, yeah.
So are you going to be the new signatory
Sure,
signatory on that? Okay. So we'll work with the town here, figure out how to get this reissued and
Okay,
be in touch to make sure you get the signature.
all right.
Because I guess this is the planning board, Nelson, it's going to go up in front of the planning board anyways, and they'd be re-signing it, so.
Okay.
All
So I
right.
do send a letter for that, or just wait to hear from?
You're going to need to get on the planning board's agenda.
Okay, and he
So-
said he would help me with that, Robert.
Yeah, I'd see Robert.
Yeah,
Okay,
talk-
he's
talk-
fabulous,
he'll be
yeah.
able, he'll have their agendas and he'll be able
Okay.
to kind
All
of
right.
get us through it. Because this, we should be able to get this rewritten and reissued fairly quick.
Okay, fantastic, all right, and then,
Nelson's still there too.
after all this time,
Yeah.
that's awesome. All right, that's it?
The other thing
Well,
was-
so back to your salt
Yes,
question, comment. So, really, one of the biggest concerns is across the street from you, behind PC Connection, is the start. Well, it's actually not only the start, but it's one of the largest aquifers areas in this whole general area. Water from there feeds the Panachuk system. It also feeds wells 6, 7, and 8 for Merrimack.
yep,
And it feeds water into the Hollis area as well. It's just a huge aquifer. So I think at the time the major consideration or concern was that
Goes down
salt
there.
was going to run down. You know, both
sure,
your entrance and exit patterns are upslope
Sure.
or downslope.
absolutely.
And if the water isn't getting captured and going into your stormwater pieces, your drainage and then going into those swales, if it's not going there, that salt is just going to run right across the road and potentially
into
head
there.
towards the wetlands. The draining drainage system, as far as I understand, does eventually go out behind PC Connection. It's just,
Yep.
the question is does the water get handled, or what we call treated, enough times to dissipate out some of the
Right.
salt? Salt, though, is extremely soluble, and it mixes in water, and it doesn't come out of water. It only comes out of water is if you evaporate the water, and then the water becomes moist, goes
Right.
the other way, and the salt gets left behind. There's that, or desalination processes means squeezing the salt water through filters, which are so small that it becomes very expensive. So once salt is in water, it tends to stay in water.
Sure,
So what we try to do was try to capture it and give it an opportunity to be in one spot, and the water evaporates or it filters down into the ground, and hopefully we're not taking the salt down into the ground, into the aquifers at the same time.
now, is that the same of the, like the Snow Pro,
well,
the greens,
yeah, so
eco-friendly,
yeah. So the
Apple, whatever it is.
the state created a program called Green Snow Pro
Right.
to certify sand and salt contractors and plow contractors to learn how to utilize sand and salt or de-icers in a judicious way to be sensitive to the environment, but also to do what is intended, and that is to remove ice and remove a safety issue.
And our service provider is certified to do that,
Yeah, so
yeah.
So with that, it also provides some relief to you as the owner, or to the owner of the property, that if you're following the guidelines and you have a certified contractor doing your work, that if someone was to get hurt, it limits your liability. That's a side part of the whole
Right.
process. So, which is some people, that it's risk mitigation.
Right.
At the end of the day, owners have to do a risk analysis.
Sure.
So as to how much salt you want to put down or whatever, based on what you believe your risk is going to be. So being Green Snow Pro, the state actually provides some of that risk mitigation right in the RSA. So you potentially might not be sued for hundreds or millions of dollars. I don't know that part. I'm not a lawyer.
Me neither.
But because they allow for judicious use, we hope that the contractors are following it, and therefore we're being sensitive to our environment and doing the right thing. I can certainly see the need, especially where you have large changes in elevation. So
That and the back section of the building gets that's where
is that where your major issues are?
That's where the major issue is at the back, and then heading up the hill, like there's a lot of accidents and stuff as a result of that, and people slide backwards and they hit people. And
Like that gentle turn by the
Yeah, it is.
by the Volkswagen dealer. I've seen people come all
Yeah.
the way across the road when I'm going up into your parking lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we had quite the incident there last week.
Oh, no.
Yeah, a tractor trailer started to slide and they went sideways and got like all finagly, and customers were not
Happy.
Not happy. But
So I guess one of the things that, to back up, you saw a couple of other plans and things. You understand the oil water separators and where the water leaves your parking lot
Right.
and goes underground.
absolutely.
Like your automatic doors that go in and out, those types of things need maintenance.
Sure.
So do you have somebody that's coming in and maintaining your underground?
So, I've been there less than a year, but I can say that we've had some maintenance and regular program. We have a project maintenance that comes out and they inspect we have like holding tanks underneath. I'm not really sure. I just know they're out there and we get regular maintenance for everything through our corporate office. I'm not responsible for that, but just making sure that they come out and show up and do what they need to do. I know that as far as outdoors goes, we do have a partnership with Outdoor Unlimited. They service almost every Home Depot in this region, and they're very good partners as far as what to do, what not to do. Like they know that we don't use any fertilizer up on the hill, and even though I think it says that we can, we don't use it. We try to keep it, we're cognizant of the noise ordinances and the conservation ordinances, and we replaced some trees recently that they had gone through whatever channel to do that needed to be updated. But as far as like wastewater and whether or not that is, I wouldn't know. I would have to go to our corporate office and ask them if they have anything that results back from those visits. Unless there's a problem, I typically don't hear about it. I hate to say that, but it's just not in the workings of what a store manager would do. And if there was something going on, like when I was in the Londonderry store, we did have waste from hydraulic waste, and it went into the holding tanks, and that became an issue for the store because it was unfolding right then and there. But typically you wouldn't, unless something's actually happening and there's a result of an inspection that wasn't up to snuff, you wouldn't hear about it. It's just kind of like we checked, everything's good. 6 months they come out again. Typically it's about every 6 months to a year, depending on what it is.
So something like that, those structures that are underground, they're going to capture a lot of that.
Right.
It looks like from the plan, those structures are sort of on the
Backside.
backside.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So it's not collecting anything where the cars are.
No. No.
I don't believe those storage tanks are. I think there's a 1,000-gallon tank.
I believe it's to catch what comes out of the store and out of the garage.
Yeah, that's
Like it's meant
that's the
to-
interior drains only.
Right. It's meant to.
So there's nothing.
I think the only thing that they have exterior are the swales going down
Yeah.
the roadway on the other side.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think the store. Yeah, because the
Yeah.
store itself is sloped so
Yep.
that everything pools
Right.
into the garage.
There's isn't there a tank for the outdoor, for the garden center?
There's something out
got a
there.
gate
I
valve
don't
or
know what
something
it
in it?
is, but yeah, I've seen it.
There's a gate valve. One with I thought was for the outdoor. I remember Andy talking about this doing the construction to capture if anything ruptures outside
Right.
in the garden section.
But there's nothing out there that, yeah. We
Right.
don't
Well, there's
store
nothing supposed to be
anything
stored out there.
Right, there's
that's-
nothing out
Yeah,
there.
there's not supposed to be any fertilizer or anything stored outside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing.
So you're looking to be able to put some kind of de-icing
Yeah,
in addition to what you're
Right
snow
now,
plowing.
we snowplow and we use sand right now.
So is it a problem in the front lot, or is it just behind the store in the driveway?
It is. It's a problem, unfortunately, on the driveway, in the parking area, customers. It's an issue. And we have them sand, and our contract with our service provider is that we make a call and they have to be out within 2 hours. Well, in 2 hours, a lot can happen.
Right.
Are there any chemical or natural de-icers that are available for?
I know where I work, we have some limitations as well, but we also have a company that does the work for us, and they typically have somebody with a spreader, like you'd see spreading fertilizer, spreading sand while it's snowing. So I don't know if that's something that,
Yeah, so we are, at the store level, we're responsible for, right outside the door, the apron area and the back. And so our associates do that. And it's actually oddly how one fell, one was putting sand out in the back.
Oh, he fell while he was putting the sand out? Is he the one that got the concussion?
No, different associate. No, that was a cashier. She came in, and my biggest concern with that is that she came in, she was doing at 6 a.m. when we opened. It's dark out, you're up there on the hill, people had already walked in, so lights are on, but she fell out when she just got out of her car, and they're out there plowing. And this isn't going to be solved by salt, but maybe it wouldn't be so icy, but she fell, and she laid on the ground for what we think is 35 minutes, and God forbid a plow would have come by, I don't know, it just happened last week, so that's not what's motivating this. What's motivating this is if there's something that we both can find together, or if there's any information that, I can look into to bring to you, I'll do it. My thing is even if it was in a small dose, if there was something eco-friendly or something that you would recommend or use them, it doesn't have to be used all the time. It can be used in moderation when it's things like snow over ice.
Like tonight's a perfect example. We're getting a mist and the ground's frozen. So just walking into my own driveway, it's
But from my lot up, it's like that. But from like Duncan's and down, it's like perfect.
Well, elevation makes a big difference.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
So what does Green Snow Pro use? Do they use some sort of calcium?
No,
Green Snowplow is not a
chemical.
It's not a chemical. It's
right.
the application of whatever, or
de-icing compounds and salts,
or the non-application of whatever.
So it's just a way to control what is being put down and how it's dissipated, or how it's
it's
education.
Teaching people how to put it down, because you see people with a bag and a top of a jug, and they're like, how many times have you walked out of a store and there's a big line of salt right there that people are stepping? It's not. That doesn't do any good.
That comes in your store.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
do
Well,
any
right
good.
now
It needs to be out. So it's that. It's stopping that.
But I was under the impression, so there's salt, sodium, but isn't there something that's a calcium based ice?
It still has sodium though.
Mm-hmm.
It's still
has sodium.
yeah. There's like magnesiums and all that.
It's a little hard. You want the ones with the honey? Those don't have honey. So you can eat those. That's why I put them over there.
I've been staring at it for all afternoon, all evening. So.
This one has honey. Can you?
Oh no, I'm good, thank you.
So the rear of the building, I've been poring over the plans. Are there any?
There's no sun back there. There's
Are
very
there-
limited sun back there.
Are there any storm drains or anything in the back there?
There are drains back there. I've seen them.
Okay, because I was trying to picture them
yeah,
on the map.
there is. There's one. There's
then-
trying to think of it when I was there outside sweeping. There's one as you head towards receiving. I know there's one there.
towards the back side of the driveway.
So what I was trying to understand is are they interconnected with piping, and then where does that piping go? Does it lead to one of these detention ponds, or is it
Right.
just a sump in the or what we call a sump in the parking lot, which means it just goes into that hole and eventually seeps into the ground? See, if it's all interconnected and part of the rest of the system, if there was any salt that became, that mixed with water, such as in a rainstorm or whatever, it would be captured in those drains and then directed somewhere where it could be properly processed. If it was just dumping straight into the ground, then you worry about ground damage, or if you have an abutter with a well, what you don't want to be doing is giving them salt water when they drink their
Correct.
water, right? So,
Right.
so I would be more open to allowing it if we knew that all the drains were interconnected and part of a drainage system.
All right, so let me see if I can find that information. And
So, I mean, we can put
Certainly.
that in our recommendation, that we would have less less issues with it if we knew all the water was captured as part of a system and brought to a what we call a swale or some other treatment area.
Okay.
Because the other ones, the stuff out front and along the roadway, these plans are very specific, and they show all the connections and where it dumps into. So, so I have a good
So that
feeling
one in the
about
back.
those. The plans that I can see here doesn't show the system in the back.
Okay. All right. Well, we can certainly look into that and
Not-
see.
Yeah, not unless some
where
of
it
you
goes.
saw something I didn't, so.
No.
No,
I'm just, I hate to walk away from this without having an answer for you.
Right.
And unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna be able to have an answer for you.
That's okay.
Because,
I mean,
are there organic de-icing compounds? Well, yeah, there are. So, I mean, it's,
that's my thought. Like, what if we only used something specific? If I find a product that is suitable, that is eco-friendly, that isn't sodium-based, that is,
Right.
if I find that out there,
that's why I was
you know. I kind of was under the impression, because I've seen it around town, in actual green salt being used on the roadway. I don't know what it is, but I've seen it. I saw it when I walked up here today.
Yeah, that is not eco-friendly.
It isn't.
Just
no,
because
I'm
it's
like,
green.
no. That's what I was thinking. But that's what people think,
No,
you know?
yeah.
So, you're like, no.
So it would probably not be cost effective to, I mean, in some countries, they actually have heating coils under the pavement. That would
Well-
be not cost effective.
no, not in that size.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking, if I found a product that was like that, and then
Geo-melt.
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. At this point, it's not about the money. It's about, making you guys happy. I live here in town. I want my water to be safe as well, and also being safe at the store. For me. So, and for my associates and my customers.
So I brought up the abutter well thing because I thought, now I could be wrong, I am getting older, so my memory doesn't serve me so well, and this project was originally built a long time ago, but I thought there was trouble during the blasting phase with one of
Yes.
the abutter's wells.
Yeah, there was.
I remember that.
And whether,
I remember reading that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was a contamination problem or if it was they had lowered. I thought it was contamination as opposed to lower amounts of water. But I just don't know the details on it.
I don't remember, but I do, you've got, what, 4 test wells up there now?
Yeah.
I think that was part of the, the
Is that what's in that field
remediation.
area back there?
Well, you've got a leach field out back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought there was 4 test wells drilled up there as a
There's
remediation, because there was some
stuff out
problem with
there.
it.
I don't know
There
what
was
it
some
is,
problem with
but
it
there are-
blasting. Because there's a lot of bedrock up there. That
Right.
whole hill is all,
Yeah. So, yeah, which goes back to are you capturing the water in your parking lot
Okay.
and stuff? And if
Yeah.
it's being channeled away and part of the whole drainage treatment system, then I feel better about the use. So.
And I would imagine the reason why everything's connected going up and down is because cars are very good at carrying stuff from
yeah.
5 towns away or, the turnpike. So that is a trouble area. The top, it said you can't use it.
Right.
So there was less
Concern for
treatment
where it was
concern
gonna
up
go.
there.
Sure.
But if there is a product that, like you said, has,
And I can research that. I'm sure there's something out there. There's
I'm-
got to be, but
yeah,
you know, I
I'm-
mean,
I'm-
I searched and then I was like, well,
Right.
let me wait and see what, you know, maybe they know of something. Maybe I'm not the only one who's asking these questions, and
That's probably something we can get out to the cooperative extension too. They've got to have some. I mean, I just did a quick search and I got 2 products here, so you can, and they're northeast-based businesses that are using them. So,
All right. Do you think that MVD or Penachuk would have any suggestions?
they may.
they might.
Yeah, they may.
No.
So how do you want to leave this?
I think we got some homework. But I don't, I don't want to leave this, you know, I want to rev this once, you know? And, but you're going to be, on the planning board, you're probably not going to be able to get there much before the 20th of February by now.
I think that's the date that he had originally told me if I got in that
Okay.
he would want to see us at.
So we have a little bit of time that maybe we can get this worked out. So if we can find,
If I can find a product.
if we can find a suitable alternative that's non-invasive, such as salt or some type of
Okay.
chemical compound.
Is there something in particular I should be looking for? Is there a chemical compound that I shouldn't be, or do you want me to just?
Yeah,
I-
honestly, I don't know.
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Because, yeah, things have changed
Is there
a lot.
anybody else in town in that situation, in this exact, like, can't use anything and has the need to, or?
Typically, those people are amending their contracts with their applicators to, you know, instead of 2 hours, it's 20 minutes.
Right.
Come visit the site more often. So I know there was a condo development over by Tractor Supply that had to stop doing what they were doing. I don't know if they ended up, because they were doing salt and sand and they were only supposed to sand only. I don't know if they found something that became amenable, you know, that was okay for the town.
Yeah.
But,
Is that the 55 and older, or was that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
I
'cause
think with the sand too, it has to be, it's because it's so I don't want to say it's uncommon, but the sand by itself,
Mhm.
it has to be separately stored, has to be stored indoors, has to be, you know, so I know my guy leaves, puts down, leaves, and comes back because he has to fill, and wherever he goes is a good, I don't know where he's going for it, but wherever it is, it's a distance.
Sand has a lot of moisture in it,
Yeah.
and it'll freeze if you leave it
Right,
outside. So it has
so-
to be inside.
Yeah. All right, well,
So we can, we'll look amongst the town here, see if anyone's got, you know,
okay.
MVD or.
I can do some research and get in touch with somebody at our corporate office and have them dig into it as well. Do you want me to
So when do we meet
email or-
again?
how would I go about that? I have my email I could give you.
February 5th.
So
Good job there, Rain Man. Just come up with that?
Yeah, so
You were good.
So we meet on the 5th,
All right.
and then when?
I don't know.
So the
Yeah,
19th.
we meet on the 5th,
Then,
and then that's the 20th is.
Speaking of ice, be really careful when you go out.
Yeah.
I'll walk on all that crunchy green stuff on my
And
way
I guess,
out.
and
Just don't eat it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't eat
I know, right?
No,
It is not
super
eco-friendly,
cool.
I got you.
It's not in the actual parking lot, it's just in the walkway.
Oh, it is.
I guess we'd meet it, we'd be meeting again on the 19th too, but that's President's Day, so we're probably,
March 5th is the one after that.
so we're probably not meeting on President's Day.
Happen to have the schedule.
You were just so good.
right, yeah, so we only meet once in February then.
Yeah.
I like Mike's brain better.
Yeah, I know.
It was more impressive.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, I can't imagine that we we should be able to post that question pretty quickly and get an answer fairly quickly. If someone has something and someone's using something.
Be able to resolve it while
And
there's
but-
still ice, you know?
All of a sudden, I'm not gonna push my luck yet.
Well, no, but I also hate that, you find some organic compound, you try it, and it doesn't work. And well, now it's written into the plan. Well, now what do you do?
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, the other is we could say stipulate non-sodium based or something like that too.
yeah, some organic snow melting compound, some non threatening,
And then
wild
it leaves
threatening.
it up to me to find it.
Again,
which
we got,
is
exactly,
fine.
we got a note here, we need to come up with wording in the note.
But this says no salting or application
Of
of
de-icer.
chemical de-icers on access or roadways within the site.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A simple amendment saying, harmful chemical de-icers, or, something like that. I'm not proposing words,
No,
but
Any of these, do any products, like if you said if it was like environmentally safe, or can it be environmentally safe and not be safe for the waterway? Like, are those two the
Those
same?
are-
Can be?
Those are good questions. We'd have to talk to someone who sells one of
You
these
guys are
products.
the experts. No.
Yeah.
Today they had something. I
See
wonder
if,
what's in that. I should have bought it. Of course, it was $10 for.
yeah. So some of the things are, they're safe for the dog's paws,
Right.
or they're
Yes,
safe for
but-
your shrubs.
Yeah.
You don't want to drink it.
Safe in the
Yeah,
water.
but you know what?
You
That
know?
true is not. Yeah, that's not
Right.
necessarily true because we
Right.
have salt safe for pets that is
Sure.
not safe for plants, and
Right.
you know what?
It's
you're right.
safe for your pet's paws, but not for your pet to
Right.
eat.
So let's
Which is what we're worried about is the groundwater.
groundwater.
Right.
So we want to be able to drink what it is that
Absolutely.
Yes.
we're applying.
Just coat it all with Kool-Aid.
Does it melt ice?
See.
I'm on it.
I'm willing to try it if it melts ice.
If it melts ice, I'm on it.
So it's funny you say that, but the state applies some sort of organic compound on the roadways before major storms.
Right.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, to
But-
prevent the ice ahead of time.
It's a byproduct of
Beer.
Beer.
Yeah.
Is that what? Is
I've
that the?
heard
Yeah,
that
because we were
before.
talking about. I was.
Because-
You
We
were
were
talking
talking
about
about
something
that
like
on
that
the agenda.
earlier.
I'm not sure what. I can't.
Anheuser-Busch
Yes.
makes it available for the
Is it?
state.
Oh.
Yeah, local
Very
source.
Google it.
Whatever it is now.
And, yeah.
It's a byproduct of the fermentation process.
Yeah, it's the leftover wort. It's the I don't know what they do with it. That's some.
Okay.
So everybody has a little homework.
There's something out there for sure.
I just want to go spray beer all over my house.
All right.
I'm sorry your first problem was not as easy to solve as your second problem,
But you know what?
but we meet again in 2 weeks.
So, can I get on that agenda to be able to come back with some suggestions, or do you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We should be able to do that.
Yeah. But you
And
again, that's Robert.
Right.
Yeah. Just we'll. I'll send an email to him too. But just if you
Okay.
contact him tomorrow, that you're going to be on the next agenda.
And it was you said the 5th, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll see what I can dig up from now to then. Okay. That's it.
Do you have anything else?
I don't.
No?
That's
Well,
it.
thank you very
No,
much.
Thank you. I appreciate
Not
it.
there.
No.
No, I'm just. This is.
I know, and I just Googled one and I found one, but you know what? Here's the thing: you don't know. Can they supply it? Can we get it? Can you?
Right.
Whatever. Is it going to be right? Is it going? You know,
And
I don't
has
know.
it been tested to the levels that we're going to need to?
Right.
Right. So we'll get this.
Yeah, but
Because
in the
this
meantime,
is-
you can reach out to Merrimack Village District.
will,
Their
yeah.
education person
So
or
it'll be
whatever.
something good for us to know anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, it is very good for us to know. So it's a good challenge for us.
Is it worthwhile reaching out to
The cooperative,
Budweiser?
Budweiser. If you can.
Well,
Yeah.
that or the cooperative extension.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
So our Public Works Director, Kyle used to work for the state of New Hampshire. He might have connections to what they're doing, what pretreatment systems they use on the roadways. So Robert could probably help facilitate that.
I wonder if
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's.
The Green Snow Pro people who advocate for that through the UNH.
That's where they're at.
Yes.
Would they be able to contact Budweiser? I mean, do
Well,
they have?
they may already know
DES,
the
would
answer.
they have,
They
like-
may already have the answer.
Yeah, they might.
Yeah.
They may just be telling you what's safe and what's not. They may not really have a, I don't know, that's,
Yeah.
we've not asked anyone.
I'm full of questions tonight, Paige.
We all are. All right, so do the extension. All right, I think you guys are on to duck boxes or something. I'm going to depart. I go before the duck
so-
boxes. I guess that's a win.
First, the
Hold on one
ceiling
second.
giveaway, and
So,
that's worthwhile.
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
You had a motion, by
That
the
when
way.
it, when
Yeah,
it
we had a
happens.
we had a motion and we sidetracked ourselves. So, yeah, so,
At least carry one thing through.
do we?
To
do we
amend
ma-
24?
To amend, note 24, we're gonna use CCA based,
Yeah.
we're gonna put it in two places.
The signs go in two
Yes,
places.
you need a second?
So, and,
That
so
was a second.
Tim made a motion, Gina seconded it. We had a discussion. We agreed, I think, so.
Yeah. add
All
two.
those in favor?
Just to be official about that.
All right, so that passes
All right.
7.
1 out of 2 is not bad. I'll take it.
6-0.
And we'll be seeing you in 2 weeks.
Yes. It's my
And
first day back from vacation.
Mm,
I actually go
boy.
back on the 6th, but I will be home on the 4th, so I will be here.
okay, well, you can send a lackey.
No.
Um,
All right.
Have a good vacation.
Thank
Good
you.
vacation.
Going warm.
Go where there's no snow
Where it's-
melting
yeah.
compounds
so-
needed.
So the police just sent out an advisory that there's black ice conditions on the roadway, so be careful.
Shuffle to your car.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine Home Depot doesn't have, this is the first time they've run into this issue. So can you try to go back up through your corporate and say, we have, we're in an environmentally sensitive area.
Changes.
Yeah, we're trying to find something that's,
Yeah.
environmentally sensitive.
They should have a legal department or
Yeah,
something.
I-
And they, we have an environmental department and everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're,
It's, when I called them, it was as if.
you've already spoken to them
I
about this.
did,
Oh,
when I started inquiring, because I didn't want to step on anybody.
They hadn't heard this either.
And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and I get it. In 2001, I can wrap my head around all these things, but now in today's life,
there's got to be something.
there's something out there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
hopefully we'll find something.
All right.
All right.
Safe travels.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Thank
being a good
you.
neighbor.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
See you,
Thank
Renee.
you.
Take care.
Come see me up on the hill. I'm gonna come listen in on these now because I got a lot of information. I'm right.
All right. Oh, wow, actually, we went through that a little quicker than I thought we were going to. All right,
Good.
so new business. Do we, you got something? No? Okay, new business. So, again, we can, it's really not that late yet. So I sent you out a spreadsheet. I happen to notice there was a little error on it that says rebuy 2016, it should say rebuy 2017. So, not that that's really a big deal, but I just wanted input onto the seedling types. If people are okay with this, if we want to go with something different.
I thought it was an awesome list.
Mm.
I liked seeing the red cedar there too. I thought that was
Okay, so again, but look at quantities and stuff. We can push them around.
What did we have a lot of last year? We had like a abundance of something.
the evergreen trees.
Yes, we had a bunch of evergreens left that we ended up giving away, and we had some. What did we had a couple
of mountain
hardwoods.
ash.
I planted a lot of evergreens out in Wildcat Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we had some hardwoods too. We had Scotch
Yeah.
pine. We had a bunch of Scotch.
We
pine.
had mountain ash
Oh,
and
sandy
some kind
ash.
of bush too. I did some planting too.
Yeah, I have
Up
the.
by-
I keep this as it's a running spreadsheet, so you can look back the year before, and I have it. We don't have to vote on this tonight. We can wait 2 weeks and do it again, and I can send that to what we had before. but that's what I do is like things that we had a lot of left over time. I'm like, okay, that wasn't a big seller. Let's start not having as much of it.
Native grape, how is that different from the grapevines that we see out everywhere?
I can't answer that question.
Yeah,
This is the ones that are in a package. The only thing you can do is you can get the species package, and then that gives you what's in that group. You don't have the ability to swap within the group if you get those packages.
It's a good.
What we've normally done in the past, we get 5 or 6 packages. I broke it up this year to 2, so we had more of a selection, which I know is a little bit more of a hassle when we set them up, but we ended up, I know, but we ended up with, we'll know a little better this year, we'll get some more buckets and get our act together. But, we ended up with a couple extra of things last year, so I was like, maybe if we just have less, make it a little bit more.
Yeah, just looking at it, the American larch, that's likely looks like an evergreen of some sorts. I feel like that'll be our least popular. It seems like nobody takes the evergreens because you can just look in your yard and they're growing in the grass anyway.
Easy to wipe it out. I can take it off the list altogether, or
Can we get white maple? Because I was asking, we actually had an arborist come in and trim down some of our trees and stuff, because we don't know about trees at my house. So.
yeah.
So I said, what are the maples that bloom so brilliantly red? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
Sure.
And he said they were white maple, which surprised me because they're so red, but.
Usually those are swamp maples or red maples.
Really?
That get really red.
Okay.
Yeah.
He called them white maples, or maybe silver maples, but they.
Yes, I don't think silver maple gets really.
Yeah.
No, I thought I'm
Is that even native? That's not
99% sure he said white maple.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at the book. That I don't believe there was a white maple in there,
Okay.
but that's a memory thing. So.
Northern wild raisin. What is that?
It's a shrub of some kind.
Interesting.
It's one they haven't had that very often.
I think it's
These are popular, Gina.
Pass those down so Tim can try one of those too.
I still got one pomegranate going, but
The
that.
pomegranate?
Just
Okay.
throw one
yeah,
away.
just thought.
Pass it.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
So the New Hampshire Nursery.org. So all the seedlings are on there. The catalog's on there. So we could hold off on this if you'd like. If you guys want to go and look at them.
So, do they ever offer blueberries bushes?
Yes,
That would be really
Sometimes
popular,
they do,
I
yeah.
think.
and we had those before.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that would be really popular.
So they don't always offer the same thing every year. The seedlings a lot of these seedlings are 2 and 3 year old seedlings, so there's a cycle to them.
Right.
I have a couple of the high bush blueberries that I got in the giveaway 5-6 years ago,
Yep.
and now they're chest high.
Nice.
Are they like sweet?
The birds get them before I do.
That's how ours were, but ours were really sour. But the birds liked them.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I have wild blueberries.
People are tempted to pick them before they really sweeten up, though.
Yeah, because the birds.
Yeah,
when
because
they
if not,
sweeten up,
the birds will get them, right? Yeah. You really have to net them.
I have
and
that
stuff.
battle.
Yeah.
Mine just never sweetened.
Yeah.
I would leave them, never sweetened. So, anyway.
Guess you get sour soil.
I mean, I think this list looks good. If you want, I would certainly be willing to go and take a look. But
We can. That's why I sent it out. If you guys want to X things off, or you want to add things, or you want to wait, and we can get 2 weeks. We can vote on it again.
so, nhnursery.org.
I believe I'll send the link out if
Okay.
that's not accurate, but I'll send it
Super.
out anyways.
Cool.
And well, I think I sent out. Did I send this out as a PDF, or I sent it out as the Excel file? Do you remember? Does anyone remember? Okay. I don't remember. I can send out. I'll send out the Excel file because it's got last year what was left over. Pretty good list.
Thank you for doing the legwork, Gage.
Yeah, that's an easy one. There's no one talks back.
Yeah, it's a PDF that we got.
Okay, I'll send out the whole. It's a new version of Excel. Everyone can open up a 2013 Excel. Yes. No.
I don't have a computer.
All right, so I'll put this back on the agenda for next week, the next meeting, and we'll have changes then. Okay. All right, Fields Farm Subcommittee. I don't think there wasn't really a whole lot going on with that, right? That was
Well, so
I think we were just going to vote on to
We-
accept the bylaws, right?
right. I don't have the most current copy here because it wasn't part of the backup.
Fine.
I don't know. I mean, I'm happy to go forward with it the way it was.
I didn't think we had changed.
I don't think
it.
we changed it,
I
but
don't think we changed anything to it. I thought we liked it as it was.
I don't
I-
recall making a change.
Yeah.
Why didn't we go forward with it last meeting?
Only because it came in last minute.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah, we discussed it. I think yes under. No, I don't have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, under subcommittee stuff.
Subcommittee
It
stuff,
wasn't an
so-
agenda item, so. So if you're all comfortable with the charter, or charge, I should say, that for Fields Farm, then we could just move forward with it. I can post it, and we can actively post for subcommittee members and start looking for putting the subcommittee together. So I move that we move forward with the Fields Farm Subcommittee charge as previously provided and start taking applications for the subcommittee.
Second.
Any other comments, questions? All those in favor? Aye. Passes 6-0-0. All right, so we have a new subcommittee charge.
Woohoo!
Yep.
Okay. Annual duck box cleaning and inventory.
I'm out of pine shavings that we use to, for the bedding. So,
Where do you usually get them?
so when we ordered the duck boxes,
All right.
they stuffed everyone completely full of. So we had 4 years of bedding in
Jesus.
bags.
That big pine tree that you cut up.
I know. If I had kept it.
We had someone here who could probably answer the question if they had pine shavings at Home Depot.
Well, they have pine shavings at PetSmart.
They do. They have it at any. Tractor Supply has it. Everybody has it.
Okay, just have to get money appropriated for it.
Do you need a motion?
Do we have any idea how much it cost? A bag of pine shavings?
How big of a bag? I mean, the bags that you get at,
Oh, I want one that Matt has to store in his house somewhere.
I mean, what?
No, I want 1 year's worth.
Yeah.
how much?
I
1
mean,
year's
we did
worth
like
only.
$25. That would probably.
The problem is if you store that in your house, then other creatures find
Yeah,
it
like
and
mice.
make that their home.
Like mice.
Yeah, you probably have some just that they're bringing in.
I do have some shavings, but I don't know. Not pine, they're natural.
Yeah.
Wait, is that what you want, pine shavings?
That's what we've used in the past. I think it was actually a mix of like pine and cedar, because it had like that cedar smell, but it was mostly pine because that's what they make the wood boxes out of.
Right.
It was nice and frozen a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I know.
I was out. That one that we checked before that it had the whole eggs, still whole eggs,
Yeah,
unhatched.
I must be the same
we
one
gotta
I
move-
looked at.
We gotta move that box.
Yeah.
The one right above the dam.
I looked at two of them. One was empty. One had a mess of eggs unhatched.
Yep.
Must be the same one.
Second
Same
year
one.
in the
Yeah,
row?
we're gonna have to remove a couple of them.
Yeah, that means a predator is getting in there, something to scare away mom and dad.
And the hole was definitely
Scratched
dug
it?
at, but the eggs were.
Yeah, so
Intact?
they couldn't get in, but they scared the parents away enough.
Oh.
Or they got the parents, one or the other.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe. So we'll have to relocate that one because it's the second year in a row where it's full of eggs and nothing.
And when you go out, I wouldn't mind. I'd love to go out with you again.
I have something to go out in this time.
You have what?
I have something to go out in this time.
Matt's got a toy.
So, so do you want me to make a motion for like $100 or something to go and buy some pine shavings?
Yeah, I think it's going to be maybe $10.
Yeah.
Not to exceed? Okay, so,
Trying to find a price.
okay, so 50. So I make a motion to, not to exceed $50 from Fund 53 to buy pine shavings for the annual duck box cleaning.
Second.
Any other comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So Gina made a motion. Gina made a motion.
Last year was just barely enough ice.
There's plenty of ice out there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty thick still.
Yeah. It was
You
really cold.
said $25?
Not to exceed
Not
By
to
this
50.
weekend, it's going to be in the 40s. It's going to be in the 50s tomorrow.
I still think there's going to be plenty of ice.
From Fund 53. For shavings. Okay. All right, the tree farm vote, we're working with the community development, we're trying to see if we can get a list of properties that are actually on a tree farm. It's not proving to be as simple as we thought, because there's apparently not really very good records of the actual parcels that are, we've got one or two that we know of, and then there are other ones that, yeah, that's kind of that area over there. There's a parcel in that section, so we don't really know what it is, and I'm not getting a lot of answers back from the tree farm folks either, so I don't really have an answer for anybody as to what parcels we'd be voting on, because I know that like Mass Road, the MVD's got a parcel, so I don't want to just carte blanche say we want to remove ourselves from the tree farm without talking to everyone in town, so I'm going to kind of put that on hold for now until we can get a good list of the parcels that we know of that are tree farms. Chapter 111 update.
So we all went through Chapter 111. That created Rev B of the document. Tim Thompson came back with a couple of small changes. Basically, he wanted to extend some of the time frames that his department has to respond and gather some information from us. He felt he needed to have a longer window in order to do it properly and do all the other work that his department has to do. So I extended them out to the dates he wanted, which I think in a couple of places doubled or tripled the time he wanted, but that's okay as long as he's okay with it. So
There's a plan.
so then I made a town council agenda request to get on the town council in order to discuss it with them, to get them to approve the process that we're going to follow. And I was targeting the 25th of January. That didn't work out in their schedule with what they had on it. I have a conflict for their first regular meeting in February, so I believe now we're tentatively scheduled to be on the 22nd of February, or whatever that Thursday is. That Thursday of the last full week of February. So my intent was to bring that up with them. You're all please welcome to come visit and join me at the town council meeting at the end of February.
22nd.
Yeah, the 22nd, just to discuss our Chapter 111 process. So that's kind of where that is at this point.
We're on for the 22nd.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
been
yeah.
accepted.
Becky and Nancy
Okay.
both confirmed that's what we're going to do. Unless something drastic happens, we'll be on that agenda meeting. So.
Okay. Good. Thank you. You know what, I don't have the backup information on this one either. Moving on to other business, we got an email from Society for Protection of New Hampshire Forests for the membership donation.
It was in our packet.
Oh, there it is, wasn't it? Did I just
Yeah,
go
it
through it?
is.
Oh, yeah, there
That
we go.
letter. It doesn't give a dollar amount, though. I see.
Well, it comes up as dues,
Okay.
and I know we've done it in the past, but this does,
I believe in the past it's been $250.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I make a motion?
sure.
Okay, so I will make a motion that we renew our annual membership to the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests, not to exceed $250 from Fund 53.
You want to just say whatever the dues amount is?
$250.
Do we know that?
I don't have it off the top of my head. That's what I was like, I didn't see the price tag.
So also the funds for this are in the town budget. They're not-
Ah, okay, so
It's not Fund
scratch
53.
that
Can we
motion.
just leave the amount open, whatever the dues, to pay for the dues?
Not to exceed what we did last year?
Or would,
Well, I would rather we put a not to exceed number on it, so.
Okay.
um,
all right,
So,
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, yeah. They'll send us something with.
well, there's different levels of
right,
participation.
right,
Okay, so
okay. To the same level as last year.
to the same level, not to exceed $300.
Okay, so new motion. I make a motion that the Merrimack Conservation Commission renews the annual membership in the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests, not to exceed $300 from the town budget.
Second?
Motion by Gina, second by Mike.
No.
Any other comments and questions? All those in favor? 600?
Hey. Look at us moving right along.
The Winter Carnival is coming up. I think I'm working how these get presented here. I don't have the date of the Winter Carnival.
So, in the middle of February.
Yep, I don't have the exact date though. We just did get an email on it a little while ago.
Saturday, February the 24th. From 12 p.m. to 3 p.m.
So didn't we have a table set up last year? I seem to recall.
Yep, you were there, I think.
I was there, yes. I can't remember if that was the Winter Carnival or something else.
It was about 55 degrees last year.
Yeah, it was warm.
It's happened a couple times. The last few years, it's happened a couple times because there was the last year I was there, they couldn't even run the snowmobiles because they were just.
It's pretty late in February.
Well, if we want to have a, I've not spoken to Matt about reserving a space. So if we want to have a space, I need to get with him quickly. If we want to have a space there, do we want? Because we can vote we have a space, but that means someone's gotta say yes, they're gonna be there.
I'll be there.
Show off our new maps.
Sure. I'll
Okay.
be there. Anybody want to be there with me?
Can I tell you later?
Yeah.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah, okay. No, I'll be there.
Yeah, so the new maps, and I guess, you know, if there's anything else we wanna,
We can do an advertisement for our field, for our subcommittees as well.
yeah.
Good idea.
I think all our subcommittees at least have an alternate position open.
In our Conservation Commission.
Yes, that's true.
Can I raffle off like a fairy door or something? We'll figure out how to switch the money over after.
Well, you can raffle it off, but
Yeah.
then you can make that a donation to the
Yeah.
to the Conservation Commission. So
Oh, okay. So you mean for me to do it personally
Yeah.
and make the don? Okay, I can do that. I can do that.
But you would be saying the proceeds will be donated to the
Yes.
Conservation Commission?
Yes. Okay, I'll do that. I don't know how much I'll get for it, but it'll be fun. We'll see how the general interest is for them.
yeah, do a test.
Yeah, that'd be cute. Hmm.
Do we need like, pictures of all the subcommittees?
Pictures?
Yeah,
We
little-
don't have
little
pictures. We
group.
don't have pictures.
Little group picture of each subcommittee?
Not in time.
Yeah.
They don't all meet before then.
Yeah, that's
Forget it.
true. Oh, well. Trying to make us more relatable.
The maps
You
are
sure
really
not going to
good.
scare people away?
The maps
The
are
same
really
face in like every issue.
Yeah, I think the maps are a good deal.
Yep.
Mm.
I run into people all the time that are going over the Greater Woods, like with the Y or. like-
So, you know, we should probably,
Like, I didn't even know.
if we, you know, we can show off the maps. If we put maps there, you know they're gonna just disappear. People are gonna be like, oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, oh, you know, we're gonna lose a ton of them.
Well, if we have some of the big ones, and then
Well-
we say, go to the properties and you can get one.
Either that or we pass out the business cards with the website on it and say you can find our maps here.
Right. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, but that might include a little tutorial on how to load the Esri app on your phone and all that.
So we have fixed that problem. It's now on the website.
Okay?
So the latest, if you've gone to our website lately, in the links on the left, there's now new links on how to use the GIS that NRPC has, as well as how to get to the Esri app installed and find our maps through the Esri map, through the Esri app.
There we go.
Do we have that website available offline?
Which,
Our website. Can we get to it offline? Like, can we load the pages, just load the HTMLs and use it offline?
I don't know. I would imagine you could save the HTMLs.
Because that would be, I mean, we don't need Wi-Fi down there. There's no reason to use up that kind of data. We just have to have it sitting there running, and people can, you know, still click on the QR codes, and they can download the stuff on their cells.
So the Esri stuff is not on our website. It's served off through NRPC having a connectivity into the Esri cloud or whatever you want to call it.
I thought aren't the QR codes on our site?
The codes themselves are on our site.
Right.
So that part, yes. But the Esri app.
Right, but that's people
in-
using their own data to get to it.
Right,
It's
correct.
not, we don't need it on the computer.
Right.
It can just run
Yeah.
the website. So people could click at the website, they could look and see what everything's there, and it's not
That would mean we'd have to have a computer.
computer. Yeah,
I mean, I could bring a laptop.
yeah. I mean, I can supply a laptop. That's
You can ask if Matt has internet service there.
yeah.
He must by his office, but maybe not down that far.
I don't know if he's got Wi-Fi. I don't think Wasserman's got Wi-Fi.
The
Could we make a
rec hall
hotspot?
might, you never know.
Could we make a hotspot?
Just like, you know.
Could we make a hotspot?
Yeah, you could, but the thing is, now we're
Now you're-
into someone's data. Now we're paying. So I'm like, if we can run the website offline,
Yeah.
just load it on the machine, and let it run. The people
Wow.
can click and do whatever. We can look into it, so see what they have available. Because if anybody wants the map, we can at least just print out, the QR codes on paper and just say, if you want the map, here you go.
We could also say, now, on your phone, put
Yep.
in, and then they can get to it on their own data.
True.
Yep.
Which would be better.
Yeah. If we bring maps with all the QRC with the codes on them, they can just pick their phone over to it and click,
Yeah.
and it'll just pop right on their phone. Right? So, I think you're overthinking it.
I guess I better practice that before I get there.
You look like an expert, Gina.
Um,
So by the way, since you brought it up, the website has been updated to include all that. That was part of the work that was done at the end of last year with a lot of help from the NRPC, Sarah and Ryan, because we made refinements to the online maps at the same time to make that all possible.
So the maps that people download now have the alpha of the paper graphics symbol on it.
Right. So at each one of the property pages, you can get
Yep.
the paper graphics map, but you also have the option of getting direct access to the GIS system at
Right.
NRPC, that version of the map, which is slightly different, but it's been improved. I think they're better, much better now than they were before. And there's also a link there on how to get the Esri app set up, so you can use the Esri app when you're in the field if you want to.
Oh, that's what I forgot. I have printouts for maps for everybody, so you can be marking them up. Don't remember to do that.
Which maps?
All of them. I just put a printed 11 by 17, so you can, as we find things that we want to add or subtract, you have something to mark up. I forgot to bring them. Sorry about that. I had to step over them too to get out of my desk. I knew they were there for a reason. I just couldn't remember what it was for. All right. So we're good with Winter Carnival? Okay. Subcommittee updates. I don't know if we've. Like last time we met was December 4th, so I don't know if we had any subcommittee meetings since then.
We met. Let's see if I have. I didn't bring my agenda. The things that I have to talk about, a lot of them can wait. What is one of the big things that we're going to ask about, and we can push it off till next meeting, is we talked about if each subcommittee wanted to do a meet your park hike. Oh, I spelled that wrong. So we'd split it up so that we could be taking people out, like, one weekend we'd take people out to Greater Woods, one weekend
Yep.
we'd take people out to Wildcat Falls. But that way we'd have a, try to get the community involved.
Yep.
And it would all be kind of it would be kind of the same thing, meet your park, so that each park would get their chance. But kind of the same thing, so people would know they could go to Wildcat Falls this, and Horse Hill this, and Greater Woods this weekend. So.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. Do we want to try to, we've been talking about it for a while, is trying to do something on a monthly basis, have something that same day of the month, every month. Do we want to try to make that one of them? It's going to make the park, meet your park, a 4-month excursion, but which is fine. 5.
Yeah, 6. Because we have.
And what we could also do 7, and then we can, when we get them out to Sklar, we can say, oh, no, this is really a cleanup day.
Well,
Told you. I think I would say is put all this stuff in the journal, Merrimack Journal, or because
Well, no, absolutely. That's fine. But I mean, I'd love to get to a point where we're doing something every month.
We
And-
started out last summer.
Yeah,
like
we
that.
we started out, and it just kind of, kind of like a square, it was a wheel with a flat spot.
I did mine.
It went through.
Wildcat did theirs. We had a bird session, right?
That's right. It was good. So I mean, do we want to stretch that out, or you want to try to get something, kind of a little bit of a blitzkrieg? It's like, we got to, every weekend this month we're going to do.
Not every weekend
Yeah,
of the
every-
month. I think we should just.
No, just for this
Right.
one item. So we'd have, hey, you got four weekends, 4 parks. Or do you want to just say,
When is the best time to take people out so that you're
It's-
not like running from the gnats and stuff
September.
like that? September.
August.
Yeah.
Is that before the hunters come?
August, September, October.
Yes, September to early October is beautiful.
All right.
You
So then we should plan it for that.
August is
That
too.
gives us plenty of time to think about it.
Vacation.
Yeah, people are back, kids are in school, so people are back in town. You do have to deal with the soccer moms, but.
All right, well, then that gives us plenty of time to think about it.
I'm just saying, they're not gonna go out on a Saturday because soccer's going on, so I didn't mean to, sorry.
okay?
Sorry, hey, I should explain myself better before I open my mouth, yes. It's just candy Gina gave me.
Candy. Check those ingredients.
It's organic. Sheesh.
That's the problem.
So it's marijuana.
All right.
All right.
Gage, I will,
Let's-
when this, I'm sorry.
I only have one request.
Yes.
Let's not call it Meet Your Park.
Okay, that sounds
Because
good.
we don't have parks. That's Parks and Rec Department has
True.
parks. Okay, we have conservation areas.
Yes.
Okay? Okay.
Okay. Well, we can discuss. I mean, we have plenty of time. We can discuss what we, I
Yep.
mean, I personally think we can come up with a,
Yeah, and we can even get the Parks and Rec people to put it in their newsletters and know
Awesome.
that. No, right? Because Matt has been very good about putting things in.
Yep.
So,
all right. Gage, I will remind you at some point when the snow melts about that 1 cubic foot of gravel for the picnic area at Wildcat.
Okay.
Um,
I did get that to DPW, but
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming that they're
We'll
they're
probably
not going
need
to
to.
bother dumping it now. So
Yeah, okay. One of the things that they were talking about is how to add the wording for no hunting, which is not as cut and dry as it seems, to the signs at the kiosk at Wildcat Falls, because you can hunt in some places. You can hunt in the other places. So, I mean, do we say no hunting on conservation area lands, or
This is for Wildcat
this
Falls.
is for
only.
Wildcat Falls?
That
You can't just
kiosk
post it.
represents the area that
Yeah,
that part
is no hunting.
yeah.
that park
So
that property.
you can put a sign in that kiosk that says
No
No
hunting.
hunting.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
perfect.
so let me further clarify.
Mhm.
It's Chapter 111 that has the restriction on the use of the discharge of a firearm or air-powered rifle or bow. That's the wording that's in Chapter 111. That's the wording that should go on our sign, and we have a sign that already does that.
We have that up?
I have it in my possession. I just have not installed it.
Oh, okay.
When I was going to do that, when I updated the map in the kiosk, but the weather got behind me, and my house has been really preoccupying me.
Okay,
So I intend to put both the new trail map sign and the prohibition against the discharge of a weapon on the kiosk.
all right, I will
Okay.
tell them that, thank you.
So,
Okay, and then, we were also discussing with signs, we were talking about, there's a sign that Karen had that's like you're in bear country, and then basically talks about what to do if you encounter a bear. And then we were also talking about taking protection against ticks. So one of the things we talked about was if we could come up with a sign for both bears and ticks that could go in the kiosks of every property that we have kiosks at. Is that something that the commission would be interested in?
I think the bear thing is just gonna scare people for nothing.
Okay.
I mean, I
Yeah,
kinda think it's
and,
overkill.
yeah, and, tick prevention, that's pretty innocuous. You can,
Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to get a wording about how to protect yourself from a bear.
Yeah,
And it's just gonna scare people.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Google it as it's running at you.
Don't do a mat and stand on the boulder and look inside the bear den.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that. I don't recommend that.
Okay. All right. What else? We talked about the website, so you were going to contact Wendy to make those 3 changes on the website?
Yes.
Okay, and just so that we have a record of it, the changes will be on the Wildcat Falls website. The changes would be remove Rebecca Breton, who has moved, so and then change Jim Tenhave to Gina Rosati, and change the term to the term expires 7/31/20. And that's pretty much it. We're talking about a scavenger hunt or something, but that's still in very early stages. That would be at Wildcat Falls. So that'll do it.
We haven't met for the Horse Hill Commission until, but we meet a week from tonight at 7 o'clock in this room, Merrimack Memorial Room. But we do need more maps.
okay.
I mean, I have like one of the little packets left, but I figure I'll be distributing those next week at the meeting, to people that.
Did anyone post the, please return unused?
I have not yet, but
Well, I mean, I just,
finally got the. This, I couldn't find the blue stuff. Is this something that would work
for what?
to post the signs with? You said that there was some kind of blue stuff to use, but I couldn't find any blue stuff.
That
That's the same stuff.
would likely work.
Yeah,
Okay.
that looks
Is
like
there
the
a,
same
is
stuff.
there a temperature?
Well, right. I didn't know if I can do it now or if
No, I mean, well,
use on.
does it say anything about, useful temperature?
Dry.
Dry, yeah.
So would that be?
Clean, dry.
Would that be under the plastic? Or
On the map box.
Yeah, in the map box.
on the box itself?
Return,
Yeah.
I really think that that's all people need, is that reminder.
Yeah.
Turn maps here. So.
That's the thing. We bought the maps to be used, and so if they're using them, great. But I don't see the need to go through my Kleenex ladder. So if they can return them, great. Okay.
Yeah, we might want to promote the QR code
Yeah.
more. Put up a note that says, if you want a map on your phone, use this QR code.
Save a tree, use the QR code.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
At each kiosk, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I honestly, at talking to people that are at the parks, it seems like the only people that are taking maps are people that are new to the park. People that go there all the time don't even look at the kiosk. They don't even know what's in the kiosk because they go there so frequently. They just walk right by it.
Right.
It's just it's like walking. It's like a tree to them. It's right by it. They don't look at it.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
So Greater Woods, we meet next Tuesday, so January 30th. Same place, 6:30 p.m.
Where do you meet? Because I need to
Here.
okay.
Oh, are we eating here? Or downstairs?
Here.
In this room.
I think because we're not meeting the library,
okay. All right.
they changed the date.
Sorry,
so.
I gave you bad information.
Okay, so we're in the you're in the memorial room
Yes.
at 6:30. All right.
Just an observation, when the snow's on the trail, I know where I'm going, so I don't have a problem, but some of my neighbors got lost and stuff, and I noticed breaking through the snow when it's fresh, that Silverfish Trail, the red marker, it needs a few more red markers, because when there's snow, you can't.
Yeah, right, yeah, some of the bike trails are gonna be tough to follow,
Yeah.
and breaking snow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my neighbor got lost, but when I go, I know where I'm going, so, but if you don't know where you're going, like, I can't see the next red marker. You know, and if it's covered, just a few more markers.
I'll get on it.
I don't have any red ones. I have some blue ones.
So are we running into an early mud season this weekend?
I think today.
Yeah. Because we're going to get 50-degree temperatures tomorrow and an inch of rain. And then on the weekend, it's going to be in the 40s. And we're not going to get any snow between now and then.
The temperatures aren't gonna get that cold.
And they're not going to get that cold. So we really have an early mud season right now. And do we want to be posting early mud season?
Do you want me to put something on the Merrimack Outdoors Facebook page?
Well, we certainly don't want people walking around mud puddles because it just expands and widens the trail.
Yep.
Where we don't want our trail any wider than it already is.
Yeah.
We would rather people, if they encountered an area that's all wet and water, that they turn around and find another route. Don't try to walk around and destroy more of the area around the trail. So, this will pass. It will get cold again.
Mm-hmm.
So. I have no update on Fields Farm yet.
Except that there's a
Yeah,
official.
There's a propane tank coming out of the ground.
Oh, yeah, right now.
It's damn torpedoes and that thing. All right, that's it for the subcommittee updates. Do we want to attack the minutes? December 4th?
Sure. See much.
Might put a page or two.
Yeah. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Merrimack Conservation Commission December 4th, 2017 minutes with corrections.
Second.
Okay, we got comments?
I didn't have any.
Oh, I mean, I had two, and they're very teeny tiny and might not even be necessary. On page 3, line 6, stated he would look into what might be available in, should it be in terms of assistance or in term of assistance? Let's put an S on the end of term.
Mm-hmm.
And then further down that page on line 13, Mr. Belier remarked the folks on campus. There's a comma after that. I don't believe that comma needs to be there. That's all I have.
I have one, and I'm not really sure, so I need someone, an English major. My wife wasn't home yet. Page 4, line 1. For industry and for those lay people who take interest in that, I think lay people is supposed to be one word, as in layman, or lay person.
I would second that.
You can always ask Don to
Yeah,
research that and
Yep.
fix appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Good catch.
Susie, you don't have anything? Nope. Nobody's do nothing? Oh. Nice job, Don. That was excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a motion, we made some corrections. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 6-0-0. That was Cindy, you got any comments?
Nope.
Matt?
No.
Jim?
I have a few. Sorry. So after our last meeting with Ethan, who's in our minutes, I did have some conversations with him about getting all the data that he wanted, and I believe at the end of the day he was happy and was going to. I showed him how I taught him to fish. I showed him where he could look things up for himself on our own website. We did go over a few parcels he had questions about, did a little research, and he was gonna pull it all together and move it forward with what he needed to do. So we didn't get too deep down. We didn't go over every single conservation parcel. He wanted the big hitters we had in town. So I think that went well. He seemed to be pleased. So the website. So like I mentioned earlier, the largest update that you'll notice on the website was the fact that we've added the links to the NRPC GIS maps as well as the Esri app and how to use it. There's been some other minor cleanup that's been going on. This quarter, which is our last quarter of the 4 quarters that make up a year, so we're going to have to, in March, deal with the contract update. I've already asked Wendy to put that information together so we can vote on it. Give us a quote for what it's going to be. It's been running us $260 a quarter, which is about 3.5 hours worth of work every quarter. This last quarter that is some of the photo gallery updates, so we can start adding photos to our gallery ourselves. That, and we had talked about having a projects page where people could look up projects that we have available, as well as projects that have already been completed. So she's going to put the structure for those pages in place. But we'll have to provide the content as to what projects we want done.
Okay.
And what projects have been completed and we want to show on the page. But she's going to put that stuff together for her 3.5 hours, which should pretty much occupy all 3.5 hours, because that goes pretty quickly once you get going. So that's what's being planned for this first quarter of 2018, which is the last quarter of our contract. So that's just an update. So and then lastly, I in November agreed to do a snowshoe walk at Wasserman Conservation Area for February the 2nd. That is a week from this Saturday. It's been advertised through the Parks and Rec winter brochure and other things. I'm concerned that we'll have the conditions necessary to do a snowshoe walk, and because of the delays in my housing situation, it's going to be a tough time for me to make it if we have it. But since I committed to doing it, I will. Someone felt more compelled to do it than I'd be happy to alleviate myself of the responsibility. But right now, the conditions don't actually lend themselves very well to a snowshoe walk. So, and nor through this coming weekend do I expect them to get any better. So, but again, I will be doing it. If you want to join me, it's scheduled for 10 o'clock at Wasserman Park, parking lot by the rec building. And I was figuring up to 2 hours. So, because after 2 hours of hiking in snowshoes, it can get a little tiring.
What if you don't have snowshoes?
Then you don't go.
Okay.
Because it's bring your own snowshoes.
Okay.
So, but I have a nice brand new pair I wanted to get out and use too. So.
Sometimes when it's icy, you have to use traction.
Yeah. Yeah. If we have really icy conditions, I'm not taking people out there that I have no idea what their skill level is.
Right.
So that's that. So. Mm-hmm.
Will you email to remind us?
Yep.
Is that on the website?
No, I don't remember this.
No, it's in the Parks and Rec calendar, because people who go should pre-register, so that way we know who to contact if the conditions don't lend themselves well to it. So, I mean, I would imagine that anyone from the commission could just appear, but I haven't gone to the registration to see if that also signs a release. I don't know. But again, if you're a member of the commission, you're already, by being an appointed member, you're covered in that sense too. So.
Gina, any comments?
So on, I'm not sure what day it was, but a hiker in one of the Merrimack properties, or it says in the Merrimack Woods, found a German Shepherd that was really wounded. I'm not sure how it got wounded, but this very good Samaritan hiker brought the German Shepherd to the New Hampshire Animal Rescue League, which brought the dog to Panema vet up in Amherst, and they did the emergency surgery and treated his wounds. So this poor baby, you should see his face. He's so sweet. I mean, all of his paws are all bandaged, and they've done what they can. But first of all, I want to thank the Good Samaritan for taking good care of this dog and getting him where he needs to go. And also let people know that if they go onto the Animal Rescue League page, that you can contribute. Any amount will help towards, they've named the dog George, because we can't find his owners. So you can contribute, because right now Animal Rescue League in Bedford is paying for all of his care. So and even if people have $5 that they want to go on the website and just kick in $5 towards George's care. If you ever saw his little face, he's kind of a big face, but he's so sweet, and he's got his cone of shame.
What kind of wounds did he have?
I don't know if he got tangled up with an animal or whatever. All 4 of his paws are bandaged, and they just said, huh? No, he looks full grown. Yeah, he's not microchipped and had no collar or anything. So, and no one stepped forward to claim him. So, he's not up for adoption at this point. But you know, they're trying to get him back. Right now, he's got an infection, so he's battling the infection. But he's very, very sweet, from what I am hearing. He's just a good boy. So, George is a good boy. So, but he needs the whole town's help. So. I know.
Well, we can see Cindy was adopted.
Cindy's a cat girl.
Yeah.
Or a mouse girl.
Or a mouse, yeah. Cat and mouse.
And I don't have any comments either, so.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we are adjourned at 9:11.
Wow,
Not
that's
bad.
awesome. I thought we
Second?
It's a non-debatable motion, no second required. I can withdraw it if it's the pleasure of the council.
Yeah, why don't you, just so I
Withdraw
feel.
the motion to table, Madam Chair.
Fine, the motion has been removed, withdrawn. Okay, alternate motion? What's the pleasure? I think I'm confused myself here.
I would suggest that the motion include to move to a public hearing with the subtraction of item J per the discussion here tonight,